The starters didn't get enough time to make much of an impression. Last week left many questions unanswered. But some faces are starting to emerge as contributors. Tonight, the progress continues against the Chicago Bears.
78 degrees under fair skies on this Saturday night here in Denver. The forecast calling for some Broncos offense. Steve Atwater, the legend in the house. Philip Lindsay, can he take another step closer to clinching a roster spot? The fans filing in to Broncos Stadium Mile High as Vance Joseph and the Broncos look to pick up their first preseason victory. The Bears come to town ready for their third tilt of the preseason after losing a week ago and losing the week before in the Hall of Fame game. And with that, we say hi, everybody. Welcome to the show with Brian Greasy. I'm Steve Levy. We'll hear from Rod Mackey shortly. You know, a week ago it was concern. Tonight there's now urgency. Vance Joseph last week said the starters on offense will play 2 series and that was it. They couldn't get a first down. Tonight he's not putting a number on it, Grease. He's saying they will not leave the field without success, whatever that means.
You know, I think everybody says these games don't matter. Preseason games don't matter. Well, when you're 5-11 the year before and you're not very good on offense, they matter a lot. And it turns out first impressions matter for Case Keenum. Not the way he wanted to come out last week. This offense needs to get not one, but a couple of drives together, get some confidence. That's what they lacked all last season. Tonight is a big night for them.
We will get to the backup quarterback position, I assure you, I promise. But they need to figure out the first team offense. Again, Broncos managed 61 yards and 1 first down in the first half a week ago. Von Miller is in shoulder pads. That's all I can tell you at this point. We expect him to play, but it's not like the defense was great a week ago either.
Well, you know, I think looking back at the game from last week, I thought there was a leadership issue, okay? They're dealing with the loss of Aqib Talib. We know that in the secondary. He was the leader of that defense. Vaughn didn't play last week, as you mentioned. Todd Davis, their starting Mike linebacker, didn't play. So there wasn't a whole lot of leadership on the field. Tonight, Chris Harris won't go. So I think this defense, one of the biggest questions coming into the season is where is the leadership going to come from? We know Vaughn's a great leader. He's not as vocal, but they have to have other guys step up.
He will be the last man introduced tonight. The Bears and the Broncos, they worked out a couple of times, built up some animosity. With any luck, that'll boil over tonight. We've got all the makings of a good time. It's the Bears and Broncos. NFL preseason football next. Thank you.
Can you keep us open?
Yeah. So you come back to us. Oh, Rod, you just come into the stadium now. It's nice to see you. Traffic? Parking?
Yeah, you know, late arrival. I'm fashionably late.
Okay, am I worried about the guys coming in with the football, the skydivers or anything or not? Okay. After the next break? Right, okay. Back in Denver getting set for the Bears and the Broncos. We saw 70 points scored a week ago. What will we see tonight? Down to the field as promised. Here's Rod Mackey.
Yeah, Steve, you know, in these preseason games, that final score doesn't matter much, but performances certainly do. Just ask Chad Kelly. Number 3 QB a week ago, he's promoted to the backup quarterback right now. What he's doing, what his dad taught him, outwork someone and you can win. And Uncle Jim played a big part in Chad's success as well. Chad telling us about Jim, quote, I think it was awesome. Blessed to have him. I wouldn't be where I am without him. Guys, it's nice to have a Hall of Famer in the family. Back up to you.
Rod, thank you. Grease, Denver has won the toss, and I don't want to draw too many conclusions. They will defer.
So that defense out there. Get Von Miller his snaps and get him off the field.
Niall Davis is back to receive the opening kick for the Bears. Ball on a tee for Brandon McManus. No running start this year on the kickoff. And Davis will run it out. There's Niall Davis to the 10. Cuts it back. And strong special teams down at the 15. That's where the Bears will start. We say hi to Mitchell Trubisky, the #2 pick in the NFL draft from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the Bears are really high on Mitch Trubisky. All reports out of Bears camp is that he has made that jump from year 1 to year 2, that he's taken control of this offense and this team, and he is the unquestioned leader of this team.
Jordan Howard will see his first preseason action. He's in the backfield behind Trubisky. Whole lot of preseason debuts for some Bears skilled people. We'll get into the starting lineups. And there is Jordan Howard trying to push the pile. Maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage on first down. Tonight's starting lineups are brought to you by your Colorado GMC dealers. GM Ryan Pace went out and spent some money for this Chicago offense. As you look at the offensive line, Cody Whitehair, watch for the center. He's had some problems snapping the football.
And Allen Robinson comes over from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Taylor Gabriel won't play tonight, but he'll be a starter week 1.
Trey Burton got a big ticket.
Came from Philly, so they've got some pieces to go along with Jordan Howard, who's one of the premier backs, young backs in the league.
Trubisky to throw. They set up the screen across the 20 and just shy of the 25-yard line. Trey Burton, the tight end, on the receiving end.
See this Broncos defense, no changes up front from last year. Derek Wolfe has come in under camp healthy, which is the biggest thing for him. Obviously, we know Bradley Chubb's in the starting lineup. Todd Davis, will see him for the first time this week, as well as Vaughn. And then Tremaine Brock gets the start. No Chris Harris, who's dealing with a little bit of an oblique injury. So be good to see what Tremaine Brock brings to this defense.
3rd down and 1. Early opportunity for this Denver defense. And it's Howard able to squirt through for first down yardage. Got 3, only needed 1.
It'll be a good challenge for this Broncos defense. You know, everybody knows Matt Nagy, the head coach for the Chicago Bears, came over from Kansas City, where he worked for a long time with Andy Reid. So this defense for the Broncos should be very familiar with this scheme, having gone up against the Chiefs twice a year, but it is not an easy scheme. There are people lined up all over the formation. That time a nicely designed tight end screen on 2nd down. Got to keep your head on a swivel.
Broncos showing some pressure here on 1st down and 10. The ball out beyond the 25. Low snap, we'll watch for that. Trubisky gets it away, and it's in and out of the hands of Tariq Cohen out of the backfield.
We're not going to see Von Miller very much in this game, maybe just this one series, but he is coming off the football. That time he walked Charles Leno, the left tackle, right back into the quarterback's lap. And I think you see Matt Nagy being really careful with these first couple of throws, a screen, a quick throw. He knows he doesn't want to get his young quarterback hit.
2nd down and 10 off the incompletion. Little bunch formation to the left, and Trubisky out of the shotgun. That snap's perfect. Pressure comes from the right. Trubisky throws that way, incomplete to Trey Burton, his tight end, for another first down. That's a gain of 19 yards.
This is why they love Mitch Trubisky. The Broncos bring a 4-week blitz. You're going to see it on the weak side. Here comes Stewart. Here comes Davis along with Vaughn. But watch the poise of a young quarterback, knowing that he has to get rid of the football, not panicking, throwing an accurate ball. That's good quarterback play.
Again, Kirk Cousins moved the Vikings down the field 75 yards a week ago on their one and only possession. Gashed the Broncos defense for a couple of big runs. And here so far is through the air. That's Adam Shaheen. There is a flag down, and Shaheen gets up slowly. Got 6 on the play.
Isaac Yiadom, the rookie, came up and was trying to get the big tight end on the ground.
Personal foul, defense number 41. Lowering the head and initiating contact. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So here we go.
Yeah. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep the head of these players up as much as they possibly can. Now, for a defensive back to come up and get a big tight end on the ground, that's tough duty. You see, he puts his head in front there. I don't think that's one they'll look at, right? We know that the officials have been told in the preseason, if there's any doubt, throw the flag and we'll learn from it as the season goes on. I don't think that would be a penalty flag.
I agree. The contact was with the shoulder, but the head was lowered. First down. They have 2 to snap it here. Trubisky gets it away. Off the play fake now. Has good protection. Loads up and airs it out. Back of the end zone. And it's beyond everyone. Kevin White was in the neighborhood.
Good job there by the secondary, Justin Simmons and Tremaine Brock. You wonder, those guys talking, communicating in the backfield, didn't get a whole lot of pass rush there. They were expecting on first down, expecting run. You got to transition from run to rush in those situations. Brandon Marshall got caught in no man's land, but Justin Simmons covered him on the back end.
8th play of the drive upcoming. You know the Broncos defense wanted to get off the field. Gave it to the first man through, Jordan Howard. Faked out a lot of people as they faked the reverse, but it was Howard all along. There is a flag back at the 30. Justin Simmons made the stop, gain of 15.
They got the edge there because Charles Leno, the left tackle, was holding on Chubb.
Offense, number 72, 10-yard penalty replay, second down.
And Bradley Chubb was in good position. He was the one that was responsible for the edge, and you're going to see on the left side of your screen 72 holding him right there. It's a good call by the official.
They'll push it back out to the 44-yard line and bring up a second down and 20. Trubisky went 4-8 as a starter for the Bears a year ago. Here he is at midfield. Again, the pocket is clean. Able to get it out to Trey Burton, who is quickly becoming his favorite target. Isaac Yiadom made the stop. Gain of 15 on the play.
These are the situations that the Broncos defense wants to be in. 2nd and long, 3rd and long. That's where this defense is built to rush the passer, as we know. And now in a 3rd and 10 situation, you're going to have Von Miller in the game, Bradley Chubb, DeMarcus Walker, and Derek Wolfe rushing on the interior. That's a pretty good foursome to rush the passer.
Don't think that Joe Woods is ready to go NASCAR on anybody yet. You might not see that until next week. Here's 3rd down and 10. Place gets loud. Trubisky gets the pressure and has to throw it into the turf. Coming on the pressure was Bradley Roby off the corner.
Some creative blitzes from this Denver defense. Joe Woods dials up a double-A gap pressure here. You're going to get a blitz here, and then you're going to get the wrapper. This is very difficult on offensive lines because they have to take the first one, and then you see Chubb with a perimeter blitz. Those are the kinds of defenses you can dial up in 3rd long situations, and Joe Woods is excited to use his new toys in Chubb.
Here's Cody Parkey on for a 52-yard field goal attempt in all this altitude. Doesn't matter. Might have had the distance, missed it to the left. So a lengthy drive by the Bears results in 0 points on the scoreboard. Get our first look at the Denver offense. Might a first down be in their immediate future. Well, with Brian Greasy and Rod Mackey, Steve Levy at Broncos Stadium at Mile High. Case Keenum and the Broncos get their first touch of the football here upcoming.
Yeah, and certainly need to get a fast start. They're going to be without Demaryius Thomas in this game. Looks like Deshaun Hamilton will get the start. The rookie out of Penn State, they love the way that he's been practicing. One of the smarter rookies that's ever come through Denver.
Devontae Booker will get the first carry, and Booker will squeeze through for about 3 or 4 on the play. The rest of the Broncos offense, and that left guard's a welcome sight. Starting lineup brought to you by your Colorado GMC dealers. Ron Leary is in the game.
Yeah, they're really excited about having that communication between Leary and Bowles. Garrett Bowles, certainly a very talented player, but it'd be nice to be next to a veteran. And see the starters, Jeff Hireman, healthy for the first time this season, just got to practice a couple times this week, see how he plays.
Here's Booker. They go back, a little flea flicker. Wide open down the sideline was Deshaun Hamilton. And it looked like the ball hung up forever, and Hamilton couldn't run underneath. But a little trickeration early by the Broncos.
Yeah, flea flicker, I love it. You wanted some more fireworks on offense, so Bill Musgrave dials up the flea flicker. Looks like, you said, Hamilton was wide open, just not enough protection there. Case wasn't able to step into that throw. Would love to see Deshaun Hamilton lay out for that football. Looked like he could have got there.
So Case was dropped at the end. Here's 3rd down and 6. Keenum with the pocket collapsing. Trying to hook up with Emmanuel Sanders and led him too far. And a smattering of boos as the Broncos' top offense goes 3 and out again.
Yeah, not sure what happened there, but Emmanuel had enough separation to get the 1st down, and that ball just a little bit too far outside. Case is one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. Completion percentage last year, Drew Brees was the only guy that had a higher completion percentage. Just a little bit of nerves early.
Marquette King will boot it away. Trayvon LeBlanc will call for the fair catch at the 4-yard line. Excellent punt by Marquette King. Pins the Bears back. We're scoreless early on. The offense trying to get on the same page for the Denver Broncos. The Bears get ready to get the football. Here's how we got the football all together. Thunderstorm in the house. Chris, you ever jump out of a plane?
No, thank you.
You wouldn't do that?
No, I mean, it looks awesome, trust me. But just seeing how fast these guys come in, and all 3 or 4 of them all landed on their feet in a little jog.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
The wind was whipping up all of a sudden pregame at that very moment. As you look at Mitchell Trubisky, they said the 2 days of work here in Denver against the Broncos really got his timing going. Not just for Trey Burton, but also with his top receiver, Allen Robinson. Yeah, they have not spent a lot of time together. Jordan Howard is in the end zone. 1st and 10 from the Bears' own 5. And a stop. Howard is dropped at the 1-yard line. It's Brandon Marshall.
Boy, Joe Woods was talking about Brandon Marshall being a little bit hesitant last week, and Brandon said the same thing. Not this time. As a linebacker, you're coached just like a running back. You see a gap, take it. Don't wait, and that's exactly what Marshall did. That was well done.
Marshall was part of the problem on consecutive 20-plus yard runs a week ago during that first drive, but not there. 2nd and 14. Bears are backed up in a big way. Trubisky hands off to Howard. Maybe gives him a little breathing room. Out to about the 2-yard line. Todd Davis, good to have him back for the Broncos. After not playing a week ago, he makes the stop.
Both of these inside linebackers, Davis and Marshall, should be aggressive in this defense, right? You've got awesome up-front talent at the defensive tackle positions, and then you got Chubb and Miller on the outside. They can afford these guys to be a little bit more aggressive in the run game, shooting gaps, and on back-to-back plays, they did it.
3rd down and 12. Von Miller still in the game. Tariq Cole, the single setback. And somebody jumped. Looked like,
Ball start. Offense. Number 70. After distance to the goal. 3rd down.
That's Bobby Massey, the right tackle. This Broncos defense will make a lot of offensive linemen jump, especially on a 3rd and 12.
Yeah, on your 1-yard line. Certainly towards those south stands, it gets loud too. It's difficult on those tackles. I'm Joe Woods. I'm bringing a little pressure. Get some heat on Mitchell Trubisky. See if he can't force a turnover.
3rd and 14. Good look at the ball. Spotted at the 1.5-yard line. Trubisky fumbles the snap, picks it up, and is tackled. He is dropped. Bradley Chubb. There's a welcome to the NFL moment. 2 points on the board for the safety.
Well, you talked about affecting the offensive line. Watch the eyes of Mitch Trubisky. That ball is right there. He's just going to hand it off. but he's looking at the defense. He's wondering, hey, one of these guys going to come after. Watch, he's like, you take that eyes off it for a second, and that ball's through, and Chubb makes him pay for a safety.
Hey, the Broncos want to get on the scoreboard however they can. Didn't require a first down. 2-0, Denver. I was going to mention them both. You want to stay wide? Okay, yep. Then Chubb would be good. 2-0, Denver. However you score. River Craycraft and Isaiah McKenzie are back deep. Pat O'Donnell, the free kick for the Bears, following the safety from Bradley Chubb. Chubb is on the field as well. Some special teams here. It is McKenzie, who had the explosive punt return last week for 78 yards. He'll take that return. Looks much more confident with the football, Isaiah McKenzie.
Well, every time he catches the ball is a good thing, right?
Tonight, yes, no
certainly
question.
a key for him.
And good segue, Grease.
Yeah,
Tonight's keys to the game brought to you by your Rocky Mountain Honda dealers.
These are straight from the mouth of Vance Joseph. This is what he tells us, put drives together. Obviously, they weren't able to do that last week. And the first 3 and out, win third downs. They've done so on defense. They're 1 for 3 on defense, including that last play for a safety. And then he wants them to play as many snaps as it takes to have success.
Devontae Booker got the first series. Royce Freeman is in there now. Keenum fakes to Freeman and delivers across the middle to Deshaun Hamilton. And there's a Broncos first down by the first team. It's a gain of 18.
This is just a veteran working with a rookie. Case Keenum didn't like throwing in the first window. You'll see here, he's not comfortable in that first window on the slant, but then he pauses and look at the accuracy. That's just a veteran with poise and a young rookie that knows to keep coming through that zone.
It's got to be a bit of a relief as well to get that out of the way, the first down yardage. Here's Freeman. The Marcus forward progress at the Chicago 40. Bilal Nichols made the stop, pick up a 2.
I think we can't state enough how uncharacteristic it is for a rookie like Deshaun Hamilton to come in this fast and get the confidence of a quarterback, a veteran quarterback. And a lot of it goes back when we asked Case about it. He says, look, he's always in the right place at the right time. I asked him this week how many MAs he had during the week. Only 4 missed assignments all week. That's unheard of.
2nd down and 8. Keenum off the play fake. Able to hit the tight end, Jeff Hireman. And that also is a welcome sight for the Broncos offense.
No question, no question. Listen, it's been an up and down career for Jeff Hireman. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. They had high expectations for him, but those knees have been a problem. And so this is the first week where he's been able to practice. And you need to get out there with your new starting quarterback and get a feel. So a nice down flat, easy throw, gets him in the game.
The tight end position is a bit of a concern, not because the talent isn't there, but because of the health issues for both Hireman and Jake Butt. On first down, running through the hole is Royce Freeman. He'll pick up 3 and bring up a 2nd down and 7.
We were talking with Billy Musgrave, the offensive coordinator, yesterday, and he characterized that tight end position as bleak. I said, really, bleak? I mean, there's some talented guys in Hireman and Jake Butt and Troy Fumagalli, who they just drafted, but all of those guys have been dealing with knee injuries. And so that's why he said, listen, I don't know if these guys are going to be able to stay healthy, and if they can't, we might be in real trouble.
But there's a big upside. The upside is there. And that's one of the, in essence, I think, fake battles in terms of who's the starting tight end. Yeah. Because one does one thing better than the other. Emmanuel Sanders on the out. And Keenum has some offense going here, some momentum, gain of 6 there. Here are the Bears defensive starters, brought to you by GMC.
A pretty good starting front 3 for the Bears. They play a 3-4 defense. Danny Trevathan, very familiar name here to Denver Bronco fans, played here for quite some time. Leonard Floyd's their pass rusher on the outside, and Kyle Fuller is one of their best corners. See how he matches up against Deshaun Hamilton and others.
There's 3rd and short. Pick up the blitz. Able to complete. It's Andy Janovich, the fullback, out of the backfield for the first down. Dropped by Adrian Amos. But there is a flag down.
Personal foul, defense, number 23, lowering the head to initiate contact. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
They called that on Kyle Fuller. You're going to see as he comes up to put the hit on Janovich, comes up and he hits him in the head or neck area. That's not leading with the head. I think he miscalled that one. But what it is when you have a defenseless player who's a receiver catching the ball, you can't hit him with any body part in the head or neck area. That's a personal foul. We're all going to have to, learn along as we go here. What's what? The helmet rule versus, hitting a defenseless player, and unnecessary roughness has now come into the lexicon again. So a lot of moving parts.
First and goal. They send out Phillip Lindsay, and Keenum throws him the football. Good coverage there by the Bears defense. Nick Kwiatkowski, but there is another flag down. And look, this is preseason for the officials too.
Yeah.
They're figuring this out as they go along also.
Pass interference, offense, number 1. 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
John Parry is our referee tonight.
Well, I would argue this: it's never been harder to be an NFL official than it is this year.
Listen, and they're easy targets, right? There's piling on. They have so much on their plates to try to figure out at such a fast speed. I think we're the only people in the country defending the stripes. They have become an easy target.
Well, and this is all to protect the players. I think you got to remember that. This is for the protection of the players. I agree with the rules.
This first and goal. Keenum looking for the end zone. And too strong for Emmanuel Sanders. That's the NFL's priority here. They have said it's player safety.
Yep. Missed opportunity there from Case Keenum. Watch Emmanuel Sanders in the slot. He's going to come wide open right here, and he goes to throw the football. He's just a little bit late and down the field, but that should be a touchdown. Just didn't trust it. But you go back, you watch the film, you say, okay, that's how Emmanuel likes to run that route. He came open. I can trust him in traffic. That's what preseason's for.
Second and goal. Lindsay in the pattern. Keenum throws, end zone. Just too far out of the hands, the fingertips of Deshaun Hamilton.
Boy, that was the right read, too. And I like the aggressive approach from Billy Musgrave and from Case Keenum. Had great protection in the pocket. Look at the route running from Deshaun Hamilton. Crisp. He's in the right spot. That ball just a little bit too high. That's the third throw from Case in this game that's been high. He's got to settle down.
9th play of this drive coming up. The Broncos getting the football back after the safety. Booker checks back into the right of Keenum to throw on 3rd and goal. Dumps it down to Booker. Has some running room in front of him, and he'll be dropped at the 8-yard line. It's a gain of 10, and the Broncos will have to settle for a field goal. Danny Trevathan made the stop. He's come up on 3.5 left in the first quarter.
Good positive signs from that drive, though. I mean, you get the football out midfield and you take a couple of shots, you convert a 3rd down. Case was accurate there on 3 consecutive throws, and then 2 shots to the end zone that had great opportunity to be touchdowns, just a little bit out of the reach.
Should be a chip shot for Brandon McManus from 26 yards away. Right down the middle. People are going to think it's a rocky score.
I take it.
It's 5-0 Broncos. Great way to spend a Saturday night. Preseason NFL football. The Broncos enjoying a 5-0 lead. Steve Levy along with Brian Greasy. Hey, Broncos wanted a fast start. Yeah. Certainly anything compared to last week would be fast, but showing some real signs on both offense and defense.
Well, I think defensively it looked good, right? They gave up a couple of yards on the first drive, and then that offense kicked in as well. So Case Keenum, 3 really nice, accurate throws in that drive. Got Jeff Hireman involved, got Janovich involved, and a nice throw to Emmanuel Sanders. But if you go down on the sideline and ask Case about that drive, he's going to bring up the 2 missed opportunities for touchdowns down the field.
And the Bears look to get another crack on offense. Pretty good run back there. Niall Davis on another kick return. The Bears are really trying out a lot of different people on punt and kick returns. And we'll check the marker. taking their time. BJ wants to know what's up as well.
There's 2 fouls in the play. Illegal formation, kicking team. During the return, hold, return team. Chicago is elected to enforce the holding.
That explains that.
Kind of. I said holding on the receiving team, and then the Bears were going to accept that one. I don't think they want to accept the penalty on themselves.
No.
Has now elected to re-kick. Those penalties will offset.
There we go. That makes sense. You think if you had 2 guys blocking somebody that they wouldn't need to hold them, but that's what happened. Looking for on this next drive, watching Tremaine Brock a little bit, right? We don't know a whole lot about him. He's a 9-year vet, but he's dependent in this defense. They're going to depend on him quite a bit because of the loss of Aqib Talib and Isaac Yiadom, who they like at corner, but he's a rookie. They need a steady presence at the nickel spot, and Tremaine Brock is getting his first snaps in a Broncos uniform.
That would be the spot that Bradley Roby played a year ago. Now with Talib gone, Roby's pressed to do full-time corner service.
Right, Roby will be a starter, and Chris Harris and the nickel will come inside, and they need Tremaine Brock to be that outside third corner. As a 9-year vet, he was at San Francisco for 8 years with Vance Joseph. That's where Vance got to know Tremaine and really told me he's a dependable player. He's played playoff snaps, 40 starts for the 49ers, so an experienced player.
Niall Davis is back deep. That's about 7 minutes of our lives we will never get back. And Davis will take a knee in the end zone.
You see the particulars on Tremaine Brock. Got good size, 6 feet. 11 interceptions in his career. He's been a playmaker. But you know, it's a different system he's coming over to now. He's got to learn the system, got to get on the same page with Joe Woods, the defensive coordinator, and with this secondary. See what he does on this drive, playing a lot of man-to-man coverage.
The first NFL player ever from Belhaven University in Mississippi. On first down and 10, give it to the first man through. That's Jordan Howard trying to push the pile.
You see the projected starters. As we know, Bradley Roby fills in for Aqib Talib. He's got good experience and a good young player. Draft pick here in Denver. Chris Harris is solid. And then these 2 guys, Darian Stewart, Justin Simmons, I think is one of the more underrated players in the National Football League. In his 3rd season out of Boston College, he is a freak as an athlete. He can come down and play man-to-man on receivers in the nickel and dime. Really a Swiss Army knife in that back end.
If you ask them, they say the no-fly zone still exists, even without Aqib Talib. That remains to be seen. Trubisky running out of there. And he'll head for the sideline with Bradley Roby chasing him in the pursuit. It's a gain of 4 on the play.
And Von Miller now in his 3rd series of this game, playing a little bit more than we anticipated, but I think it's a good thing. Get him out there. He needs to get in shape as well. It's one thing practicing, but going out there and rushing the passer 8 or 10 times in a row is a different animal.
Von played just 11 snaps all of last year's preseason.
Right.
So he's got to be ahead of that now with the, in quotes, real preseason game coming up next week against the Redskins in Washington, D.C. 3 seconds to snap it. Trubisky all by himself in the backfield. And they blow it dead. Let's see. They get a timeout. They did. There's a flag down as well. He's going to pick that up. It's just a timeout by Chicago with
timeout Chicago.
Time running down on the play clock.
First.
Getting that situation now in these 3rd downs where it's pretty clear that Joe Woods wants to have Von Miller on one side of the field and then Bradley Chubb on the other. And I think as we get into the regular season, you're going to see a smattering of Shane Ray on the same side with Bradley Chubb. And as an offensive line, right, and as backs and a quarterback, you tell me where you want to, protect yourself. I mean, you got Vaughn on one side, you have to double team him, you got to chip him, and then Chubb on the other side. If he gets a one-on-one, he's going to win. And then Shane Ray as a kind of a floater. That's going to be really tough on offensive lines and quarterbacks in third down.
So in essence, it's good luck. Here's third down and 5 as we come out of the timeout from the 30. Underneath the tight end, Trey Burton. And Burton has enough. There is a flag down. It's a gain of 10. Tremaine Brock to stop.
That'd be pass interference on the offense. It was a clear pick. Tight end just came down and blocked the defender. It's a pretty easy call for the field judge.
Pass interference, offense, number 80, 10-yard penalty, third down.
You are in mid-season.
Come on, man. That's Trey Burton, the tight end that came over from Philly. He'll come into the screen on the right side. There he is right here. He's just going to block. I mean, I don't really understand what he was trying to do there. But a good call.
Burton can do no wrong. Certainly in Philadelphia, he threw the pass, the Philly special, to Nick Foles in the Super Bowl. He'll never buy a drink in that town again. Although he can afford a drink now, he got a massive contract to come to Chicago. Here's third down and 15. Trubisky with time. Down the right sideline, back shoulder, and a flag comes in. Kevin White, the intended target. Isaac Yiadom had the coverage. What do you think of that call?
Back-to-back weeks that these quarterbacks come in and they find the rookie corner in man-to-man coverage, and they're going to take their shots. I mean, this is what it's going to be like.
Pass interference, defense, number 41, automatic first down.
This is what it's going to be like for a rookie corner. Every single quarterback is going to take their shot, and they take it up top to Kevin White. He's in good position here. Gets people a little bit. Then when the ball's underthrown, that's really tough on a corner, because they teach the receiver to fight back through the defender to draw that foul. It's hard for Isaac Yiadom to avoid that.
Rolling to his left now is Trubisky. Lofts one, and it is captured. Brought down by Anthony Miller, who can go get it. And a big catch by Miller, and the Bears are on the move.
Anthony Miller's an outstanding young rookie wide receiver. I thought he and Cortland Sutton were the two best wide receivers coming out in the draft. But take a look at Bradley Roby, 29. That ball's in the air a long time, Steve. You got to go up and play the ball if you're Bradley Roby, right? Go up, at least bat it away. He's got the kind of closing speed to break that football up.
Final half minute of quarter number 1. Trubisky 5 of 8 for 62 yards so far. On the ground, a Jordan Howard. Patient run inside the 20. And he will be dropped eventually at the 7-yard line of the Broncos. Will Parks got him eventually. Not before he ripped off 17, and there's an injured player down, and it is Parks.
Oh, man. Last week, Jamal Carter tore his hamstring, and he was placed on IR for the season. And now Will Parks goes down in the second preseason game holding his knee, plays the same position as Jamal Carter. And you hope that this is not a serious injury for Will Parks to lose potentially 2 guys at the same position in back-to-back preseason games.
Parks played more snaps than any other Bronco a week ago. Big part of that was because Carter was injured.
Looks like he caught that left knee on the heel of the running back. You watch his left knee kind of comes down on the back of his heel. You hope that that's all it is. See how his left knee comes down on that foot. But anytime you got a player down in the preseason, that's a scary deal.
We watched the Vikings and Jaguars today. Man, it seemed like every other play, there was an injured player and a player being carted off. And that's like the #1 goal of these preseason games. You ask these coaches and general managers, don't get anybody injured.
He's been having a great camp. Vance was talking with us about him yesterday, and just doing all the right things, really coming on in his 3rd season. Everybody wants to talk about Justin Simmons, but Will Parks has been coming on in the nickel linebacker spot, the dime linebacker spot that he and Jamal Carter were competing for, along with Sua Cravens, who's also hasn't practiced. They're hoping to get him back next week with a knee, so they're thin at safety all of a sudden.
DeMonte Thomas not playing tonight as well.
Not to mention the impact on special teams, because Jamal Carter was a special teams ace. He was the personal protector in punt and did a lot of kickoff return, and Will Parks the same way.
So here we go. It's 1st and goal now for the Bears. They're going to wind the clock, and that will end quarter number 1. The Broncos defense pitches a shutout in the first quarter. When we come back, the Bears knocking at the door. Denver Broncos preseason football. The Broncos lead 5-0. Along with Rod Mackey, former Broncos great quarterback Brian Griese. I'm just Steve Levy as we open up quarter number 2 from Broncos Stadium at Mile High. And if you had the Broncos leading 5-0 at the end of the first quarter, you win. The Bears are knocking at the door. They'll open up the quarter with the football spotted at the Denver 7. That's Trey Burton in motion. Off the play fake, Trubisky able to find Burton, who will walk into the end zone uncontested for the Bears' 7-yard touchdown.
As well-designed play, Matt Nagy is known for these kinds of naked misdirections out of the backfield. You're going to see 2 guys out here. So you got Darian Stewart and Von Miller. One of them has to play the tight end in the flat. They're going to fake it to the running back, and out of the flat, wide open Trey Burton for the touchdown.
Here's Cody Parkey on for the extra point. Parkey boots it through, out of the hold of Patrick Scales. Bears picked up an extra long snapper this week.
Those are the types of plays that were designed by Matt Nagy in Kansas City. Bring in the tight end from a wing position opposite. It's just meant to disguise the play. That's a big reason why he's got the head coaching job for the Chicago Bears, is because of those kinds of innovative looks and offense that confused defenses, and certainly the Broncos defense was confused on that one.
This ought to confuse you at home. Here's tonight's trivia question. It's brought to you by Ford, the official trucks and SUVs of the Denver Broncos. Which original Broncos Ring of Famer was released by the Bears, released by the Chicago Bears in 1960? See that answer when we come back. As much as it pains me, Grease did get this right in rehearsal without seeing the answer.
Well, I do have a little bit of advantage from the people at home, as the Ring of Famers' name is up here in the stadium, so you
can look around. Got it. Fair. It's not Haven Moses. Philip Lindsay will pick it up inside the 10. Make a couple people miss. You hear some of the emotion and enthusiasm from our excellent on-field audio microphones. It's a gain of 11 on the return.
That was a great kick there. We talked about the difference in the kickoff rules this season. That was a perfectly executed kick. You just kind of bloop it down there. You can't obviously let it go out of bounds. It's going to get the ball at the 40, but you see now the Broncos offense starts inside the 20. That's how it's done.
It's been Booker, then Freeman, then Booker, then Freeman, now Booker again. That's really the #1 battle in terms of starting positions for the Broncos, is the running back position. Fake to Booker. Keenum to throw. It's Hireman, the tight end. Oh, he'll shove a man aside. Jeff Hireman showing off the strength.
Well, that's good to see. Hireman, his size at 6'5", 255 pounds, he should be doing these kinds of things. To these corners on the outside, he just throws them out of the way. The other thing that I think was important this week, the coaches were saying that Hireman looked fresh legs. He looked like one of their faster receivers in practice all week.
DeAndre Houston Carson will not appreciate seeing that film. Getting tossed around, ragdolled by Hireman. That time, good defense by the Bears on Royce Freeman. as Nick Kwiatkowski came up to make the stop. Down a rod on the field.
Guys, the injury pretty much what you thought it was. It's a knee injury to Will Parks. He is questionable to return. As you guys mentioned, this is a position where they cannot afford many more injuries. Back up to you.
Yeah, Rod, I would turn that questionable into no, he will not be playing again in this game. But it's good to see him up walking around. To me, that's always a good sign that it's not an ACL.
Here's Keenum on 3rd and 4. It's another first down. Emmanuel Sanders trying to turn it upfield. And he's working there on Doran Grant.
Boy, small window, really nice throw on time from Case Keenum. Not a lot of room here to complete that pass, and that is well done to Emmanuel Sanders.
Well, first down's just piling up for this Broncos first team offense. There you go, 5 of them. And a delay to Booker.
Listen, we don't need your sarcasm.
Is that what that was? He'll pick up a yard or two.
We talked about Case Keenum and his accuracy. Last season, as I mentioned, Drew Brees is the only guy in the league that was better completing passes. And it wasn't like, you know, he was playing in a dink and dunk offense for Minnesota, throwing to Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph.
Here's Keenum in trouble, and he will be dropped. Roy Robertson Harris able to make the sack, his 3rd of the preseason.
And that's right over left guard Ron Leary. Now, Leary hasn't had a whole lot of practice because of that knee. They've kind of been holding him out of practice at times, but he's a vet. He knows how to get things done and get ready for the start of the season, but he got beat on that one.
3rd down and 8 upcoming. From Denver 36. Booker to the left to Keenum. Good protection. Keenum able to step up, incomplete for the first down. Emmanuel Sanders on the other end to gain of 11.
Well, you start to see the chemistry between Case Keenum and Emmanuel Sanders. There's nobody happier in Denver that Case Keenum's here than Emmanuel Sanders. And because if you get Emmanuel jazzed and juiced about the passing game again, that can be nothing but good things for this offense.
I thought Bill Musgrave was pretty happy to have Case Keenum in town also. Sign him to a lifetime contract. Quarterbacks can play forever these days. Times have changed. Keenum on the ground to Booker. And he's just across midfield.
You know, I did think that was interesting what Billy had to say. He said, you know, we didn't know. I didn't know for sure what Case Keenum was going to be like. But within a week, you know, he was like, listen, this is not a stopgap measure, at least in his mind. This guy has it together. He knows how to play the position. He's assimilated this offense rapidly, and he's impacted the entire team. I mean, the confidence trickles down. Now, last week wasn't a great start, but, you know, certainly he started to get a little bit more rhythm in the offense and throwing the football tonight.
2nd down and 5. Keenum to throw again. Looking for a big chunk. And that time overthrows Emmanuel Sanders. And when he's missed tonight, looked like it's been high.
It's been high, yep. And, you know, you're trying to get that timing down. You're trying to release that ball before Emmanuel comes out of his break on a deep comeback. And sometimes, you know, all it takes is 1 or 2 yards off on a route or a short step by a quarterback on his stride, and it leads to an inaccurate throw.
Another long drive for the Broncos. 9 play is coming here on 3rd down and 5 from just across midfield. Bears bring 5. Keenum gets it away. Got a man, Cortland Sutton, in heavy traffic, and there is a flag. Cortland Sutton had his arm hooked, or else that was an easy catch and score.
Pass interference, defense, number 35, automatic first down.
That's Doran Grant.
We've heard about Cortland Sutton in practice, in training camp. You know, 1 or 2 times a practice, he'll do something like this. He'll run by a guy and go up and make a play. And he was tracking to do just that, and Grant got his hands in the way. It's a good call by the official, but that is a welcome sight. So you can line up a guy like Cortland Sutton at 6'4" on the outside, and if you get man-to-man, just say, listen, run down the field, and I'm going to throw it up and give you an opportunity to make a play. That's a real weapon.
And Grease, same deal here in the red zone. You would think also this is where Sutton could excel. The jump ball, he's so much bigger than most cornerbacks. Hand off to Royce Freeman, standing up into the end zone. Touchdown, Broncos. Good mix of the pass and run on that scoring drive.
Take a look up front. Ron Leary turns his guy out. Valdir gets a piece. And Royce Freeman, we saw a week ago, he knows how to finish into the end zone. Big man gets in for his second touchdown in a Broncos uniform. And you're right, great mix there of run and pass, but looks like they're going to go for 2 here.
At 11-7, they'll go for 2. Better hurry and get that snap.
A timeout. Oh, they reset the play.
Okay. Booker the lone setback. Here's Keenum looking left. Throws right for the 2-point conversion of Jeff Hireman. And it's all going right for Denver's offense now.
Really nice route from Hireman. All the attention was to the bunch set with the 3 wide receivers, and you leave Hireman by himself, and he runs a little out and up. And a really good sight to see 82 in orange contributing.
Get a safety, get a 2-point conversion, get a rushing touchdown. All going the Broncos' way. And it feels like their 3rd drive had 9 plays or more to it. Getting the game reps, staying on the field. Here's Niall Davis, 2 yards deep in his own end zone. Out to the 20, and he's dropped down at the 22. Here's the answer to tonight's Ford trivia question. Again, the question was, which original Broncos Ring of Famer was released by the Bears in 1960? The answer, wide receiver Lionel Taylor, who after being released by the Bears played semi-pro football. Broncos GM Dean Griffin saw Lionel play and signed him. And Taylor would go on to play 7 years for the Broncos. Get this, it's pretty cool. He's the first professional to reach the milestone of 100 catches in a season. Lionel Taylor.
Really cool. He played with Frank Tripucka back in the early 60s. Also a Ring of Famer.
Here's Trubisky to throw, a little sidearm throw. Able to complete to Anthony Miller.
You know, that last drive from the Broncos, an impressive one. 9 plays, ends in a touchdown run, but 5 runs, 4 passes on that drive. And I think what's interesting, if you talk with Vance Joseph, you talk with Billy Musgrave, they came into this season with an idea of who they wanted to be offensively. But then I think it's starting to change a little bit with the addition of guys like Deshaun Hamilton and Cortland Sutton, who was impactful on that drive, just getting a pass interference call. I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more than they thought they would because they've come on so fast.
2nd and 9, handoff to Jordan Howard. He's got first down yardage, really lost the football. He's out to all the way to the 35. Brandon Marshall finally brought him down after a gain of 13 yards. So, I was going to say, so would you expect to see more out of Case Keenum? Like VJ said, you want to see success on the scoreboard. Right. Well, what does that define as you see Chad Kelly get loose?
I think it was a successful night for Case Keenum. I think I'd take him out. I mean, you've had 2 drives that have gone down. The first drive, obviously, they didn't get the touchdown, but he had a couple of shots in the end zone. So I think it was definitely progress for that first-team offense tonight.
No question. 5 to snap. Here's Trubisky. The quick throw, too high for the tight end, Trey Burton, off his fingertips. Justin Simmons had the coverage.
I think what's interesting is you look at the passing game from a year ago for this Broncos team with Emmanuel and DT, and Emmanuel wasn't happy, DT wasn't completely healthy, and it was anemic. And Vance Joseph says, listen, it was like a math problem trying to find a completion last year. And now you come into this season with a new quarterback and 4 legit wide receiver options. And if you mix in a tight end like Hireman and Butt, all of a sudden you got something.
2nd down and 10. Howard's not going anywhere. And the stats bear that out. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders had 2 of their worst production-wise seasons in their career in terms of yards per reception.
Yeah, you see this, like you would
Haves
think,
and have-nots.
yeah, you would think that coming in, it's not a deep wide receiver group, right? Because beyond these two, you got really nobody with any experience. But I beg to differ with the unique rookies that they drafted. Did a great job in evaluating them, and they're going to contribute in meaningful ways.
There's 3rd and 11 from the 34. Trubisky underneath to his back to Tariq Cohen. And a good job by that Denver defense, led by Todd Davis. Gain of 11.
Really good to see Todd Davis out there and healthy. He's been dealing with some injuries as well, but he needs to step up in leadership role this season, in my opinion, because they lost Aqib Talib, and they need guys that can be vocal, and Todd Davis is certainly one of those that is a candidate to become leader.
Cohen needed every inch there. Got the first down. Now the completion to Kevin White, and he is stopped in his tracks.
I think Vance Joseph wants to challenge that last spot.
Prior to the snap, Denver challenged the previous play for first down. We're short of the line of gain. We'll review the play.
Even if it doesn't stand up, Tremaine Brock with an excellent stick there on defense. While they take another look at where they spotted that football prior to that last play, we'll step out. Vance Joseph with a successful challenge.
Yeah, first one of the season, and he was standing right there. The 45-yard line was the line to gain, and clearly he was brought up short. Nice job by Todd Davis, and now the Bears are going to go for it on 4th and 1.
Needed to get to the 45, and the ball spotted just beyond the 44. Get a good look at it there. They added some time back on the clock, and here we go. Sneak by Trubisky, the quarterback, and he has the necessary yardage.
You know, I was sitting up here thinking, for all the Bronco fans watching this game, you should be really happy that Matt Nagy is not in the AFC West anymore. And the same for Alex Smith, right? Like that's a win for us Bronco fans, because that's a heck of a football coach with a really good offensive mind, and he had fits for this Denver team while he was at Kansas City.
Fresh set of downs. Clock spins towards 7.5. Handoff Jordan Howard, and he's sent flying back. Adam Gotts is there along with Brandon Marshall. How would you handicap the AFC West now?
Wow, you know,
wide open division.
Yeah, I mean, I know this. The LA Chargers are going to be really, really tough. Okay, they've got the most experienced quarterback, you could argue, in the division. Who knows what Patrick Mahomes is going to be? I mean, that's the wild card. See what happened last year, Kansas City, but that's a lot of Alex Smith right there. I don't think that Oakland is going to be as good as they were a year ago, and they weren't very good. So
there's Trubisky, able to complete to Kevin White, making some people miss. First down yardage. Tremaine Brock was there. It's a gain of 8 on the play.
But it is interesting, you know, coming off of a 5-11 season as the Broncos had a year ago, how much optimism getting a quarterback has brought to this team. And getting back some of their draft picks from a year ago has helped as well.
Trubisky to throw. Intercepted! It's picked off. Justin Simmons will return it. Trubisky flung it sidearm style, and Simmons is there for the pick.
We talked about Justin Simmons. I think he's the most underrated defender on this Broncos team. We talked about his versatility. This is a perfect example, playing man-to-man coverage on the back out of the backfield. They ask him to cover tight ends like Travis Kelce. They'll ask him to cover running backs coming out of the backfield, and he has been up to the challenge, played that route perfect.
And it's a 20-yard return after stealing the football away. The Broncos are back in business. Up 13-7, coming up on 6 minutes to play in the first half. See if we get a look at Philip Lindsay here in the backfield, out of the old-fashioned eye with Janovich in front of him. And Chad Kelly at quarterback for the first time. Kelly running with the twos, and that is significant.
Yep, and it's all based off of performance from last week. He came in the second half and did nothing but spark this team and led scoring drives, some consecutive drives, and This is less about what Paxton Lynch hasn't done, and Vance Joseph will say it's more about what Chad Kelly has done. He's earned it.
We'll see what he brings to the party tonight. Kelly said he did the math himself. He went 646 days without playing in a football game. Think about that for a second. Here's Kelly to throw. Underneath, wide open is Royce Freeman, and he's inside the 40. Here's what the coach had to say about the man they call Swag.
Chad's played well. He's played with poise. He's played with confidence. You know, he moved the ball for us on Saturday night. So, and it's been that way since the spring. You know, I mean, he had a great spring. He's had a great camp. So, it's his turn to be the 2.
You get a look for him again. He was working against the 3s a week ago of the Minnesota Vikings. Now against the second-team defense for the Chicago Bears. It's another first down for the Broncos.
And the thing that really stood out to me about his performance a week ago and what Vance just was talking about there was the word poise. Because he hasn't always been the most poised player. He hasn't always been the most poised guy off the field either, with a lot of off-the-field incidents. But in his play last week and in his play in training camp, he's been poised and he's been under control. He's gone through his reads and he's worked hard to get to where he is in this opportunity.
If you listen to his words, it sounds like he's grown up an awful lot. On the ground are Royce Freeman. He'll push the pile, close to yet another first down. John Elway was asked, of course, the whole Broncos organization's been asked about the backup quarterback, but I found this interesting. Elway was asked about what characteristics does he look for in a backup quarterback. And Elway said a guy who can win games. And that caught me by surprise.
Yeah, it doesn't. He said he doesn't have to carry a game, but he does have to go out there and win games. I mean, look, when they won the Super Bowl, people forget Peyton Manning was hurt with his foot, and Brock Osweiler came in and won 5 games in a row. Now, it wasn't Brock Osweiler winning the game on his shoulders, but you have to protect the football manager.
Saw a good look at that with the Eagles just a season ago. Carson Wentz went down, and Nick Foles was there. And so that's the battle. Kelly is not necessarily fighting Paxton Lynch for the spot.
Right.
He's fighting to show he can win games in the event something unfortunate would happen to Case Keenum.
There's no question that Chad Kelly, and I think he understands this, and I tried to ask him this question yesterday. I said, do you feel like you're ready to be the backup quarterback this season behind Case Keenum? And what I'm asking you is, if Case Keenum turns an ankle, it's you, bud. Like, this whole team is on you.
One snap away.
Like, that's what you have to come to grips with, and everything that comes with that playing quarterback in this town.
On the ground, Phillip Lindsay, a straight handoff. Here's Kelly on taking over that second spot.
It is the NFL, and you're the head man of a Fortune 500 company, and you gotta act like it. You gotta approach every day as if you're the boss, and you want to be the man. So, you know, gotta come in with a level head, keep on working hard, and get those guys around me to kind of follow suit.
There's a little maturity there. That's you know, that's a good sign.
There's Kelly to throw. In the seam, end zone. Touchdown, Cortland Sutton. And that football was on the money.
Really well-designed football play from Billy Musgrave. Nice inside release from Cortland Sutton, and a great, as you said, howitzer right up the seam. He made one of those throws last week. And when you're down there in the red zone, they've got to be on the money because the windows are tight. Couldn't have had a better start for a drive for Chad Kelly.
Zips it right in there. And the confidence will continue to grow, not just for Chad Kelly, but for his teammates around him.
Well, the thing you see is he doesn't hesitate. Like, he's got a trigger, and when he pulls the trigger, he pulls the trigger, and that certainly is a good thing for a quarterback playing in the NFL.
Casey Kreider, the snap. Marquette King puts it down, and Brandon McManus boots it through. It's an entire turnaround from a week ago. It's all going right for the Broncos. Everybody in orange.
Welcome back. Chad Kelly's picked up right where he left off last week, throwing touchdown passes. Take a look at the eyes of a young quarterback. Watch this at the very end, Steve. He looks to the right. You see that before he gets the snap? He's checking to make sure that that route is still going to be open. And so right after this, the ball is snapped, and he looks over there, glances over there, and sees that it's still there. I mean, that's what playing quarterback is, right? You gotta play the game, and your eyes are constantly moving in the secondary, and that was really well done by Chad Kelly.
The head doesn't move, just the eyes. Right. Niall Davis from the 5. Cut back there. Davis rumbles out to the 25. Here's Denver's favorite son, Rod Mackey.
Steve, I thought you were talking about Emmanuel being Denver's favorite son. Hey, this week a lot different than last week. The offense got going right away. You and Casey kept going to number 10, and I know that means you like Case.
Oh, yeah. I was loving it, man. To be featured like that in the first quarter felt good. The balls are coming. I was able to, catch them and make plays on third down, and we were able to put up points. And right now we're winning. It just feels good to be on top.
We can see it. There's some chemistry, but then there's some misses there. That takes a little time, doesn't it?
It's gonna come. I was actually just talking to him. I told him the one third down we had in the middle of the field, we worked that over and over and over. But now we got to start working other routes after practice, the shake routes, the go balls. But it's gonna come. I tell you what, man. He's a good quarterback. He's been showing it the entire training camp, and I'm confident that we're gonna be able to connect on those balls. And once we start connecting on those, it's gonna be dangerous.
Also, the leadership he brings in.
Oh yeah. He's a leader. I mean, from day one, he's been that guy that breaks us out of the huddle. He's very vocal, so he's gonna be all right. I'm loving where we at right now. Obviously, it's just a preseason, so we still got 2 weeks. We got another game next week. We get to play an entire half, so just keep building on the chemistry.
Very good. E, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. All right, stay with us. That's a 2-minute warning. We'll be right back.
Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Rod Mackey out of the 2-minute warning. Back here in Denver, Broncos Stadium at Mile High, with the Broncos enjoying a 20-7 lead. Mitchell Trubisky's night is over. And say hello to Chase Daniel, the veteran, his 10th year out of Missouri. The backup quarterback in for the Bears. And they'll start out at the 25. Daniel to throw. Steps up, coming across the middle, able to complete to Anthony Miller. Down the sideline, little stutter step. Get out of bounds, stop the clock.
Boy, Anthony Miller, he's just worth the price of admission to see this kid play. He's got an energy about him, really a competitive player. He's got star written all over him, and Mitchell Trubisky's really lucky to have him.
Anthony Miller from walk-on to the all-time leading receiver at Missouri. And that just doesn't, at Memphis, I beg your pardon, that just doesn't happen. Little 2-minute offense for the Bears. Off the play fake. Daniel has plenty of time. Sails one across the middle. I think he was going for Kevin White, way over his head.
Yeah. Kevin White's been a little bit of a disappointment for the Chicago Bears team. He was a first-round draft pick. Tons of talent coming out of West Virginia, but he just hasn't been able to stay healthy and then hasn't been able to contribute in meaningful ways to this offense. But if he gets going, they've got a lot of weapons on this offense.
This is a Bears team that finished last in the NFC North for the 4th straight season. Like the Broncos, they were 5-11 a year ago. 2nd down and 10. Tyquan Mizell in the backfield. To the left of Daniel. Pressure from the Broncos. Gets it away, and it's caught. And an awesome catch. Marlon Brown able to run under that perfect ball from Chase Daniel.
Yeah, really nice throw from Daniel. Marcus Rios is playing in that nickel position, that nickel corner. There's a pretty hot competition going on there. Marcus Rios, Brendan Langley, Yadam, all 3 young players trying to step up in Chris Harris's absence tonight. And a late hit on Chubb, which I think was pretty ticky-tack.
It's a 29-yard gain, and they'll tack on 15.
There's Rios, also a couple of young players in the secondary that are going to get an opportunity because of the injuries to Will Parks out of this game, and last week
Jamal Carter going out.
Carter, yep.
Done for the season.
Trey Marshall and Jordan Moore in the game now at safety.
Deep into Broncos territory now. Plenty of time. The Bears have 2 timeouts. Changing the play at the line. Here's Daniel.
Get offsides on Denver. They've got Bradley Chubb and Shane Ray rushing the edge.
Offside. Defense. Number 55. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Greason, that's a change this year as well. The past, they would let that go. You get the free play. Right? How many times you take advantage of the free play?
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, player safety. They don't want the quarterbacks taking an extra free shot by the defensive player, so they're going to blow it dead this year.
Yep.
That free play that Tom Brady has used to perfection, getting people to jump off, that should not exist this season. A new point of emphasis. 10 penalties accepted so far in the game, 5 for each club. Daniel to throw. Out to Kevin White. Another penalty marker comes down as White is wrestled down at the 8-yard line. That'll stop the clock with 1:32 left.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 81. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Stay tuned during halftime of tonight's game for the 9 News Halftime Report. A quick look at today's headlines, news and weather. We'll be curious about that weather too. What's coming up for the second half? From Colorado's news leader, 9 News. Might need that umbrella.
This second to unit for the Broncos defense. DeMarcus Walker. You got Shelby Harrison there, Shane Ray, and you got Bradley Chubb. We haven't talked a whole lot about Shane Ray. Rushing the passer.
Here's Daniel, a clean pocket to work with. Able to hit the underneath to Mizell out of the backfield.
I've been wondering about Shane Ray and how he is mentally, right? Coming off that wrist, and he's been injured, so he's been struggling through that. By all intents and purposes, he's good to go now, but also, you know, you go and draft Bradley Chubb, okay? And Bradley Chubb's going to take away some opportunities for Shane Ray, and I'm really interested this season in how he reacts. How does he play? What's his motivation level? Because that's an important piece of this defense.
Here's some more motivation. The team didn't pick up the 5th-year option on his contract. That ought to motivate him. 2nd and 7 now. Can get a first down. Daniel is knocked down. Is able to stay on his feet momentarily and then eventually dropped by DeMarcus Walker.
One of the MOs on DeMarcus Walker coming out of college was his motor. He just would not refuse to stop, and this is an effort play here. He beats the guard off the bat and just continues to get after Chase Daniel. Really good sign from an internal pass rush standpoint to have DeMarcus Walker start to heat up.
Walker was the guy who had to fill in for Shane Ray at that outside linebacker a year ago. Now back on that defensive line, beefed up and trying to yank some quarterbacks down. Here's 3rd and 11 for Chase Daniel. Again, the short pass that'll result in a big loss. Mizell had nowhere to go. Zaire Anderson was the first Bronco there.
Yeah, really nice job by Zaire Anderson. You got to know that Matt Nagy's going to throw some screens. As soon as you start to heat up that pass rush, Nagy's going to go right to his screen game and try to neutralize the rush of Shane Ray, and Zaire Anderson in perfect position.
Loss of 7 on the play. Anderson says, I don't think so.
Anderson's in a battle to make this football team. A lot of talent at that inside linebacker position. They really like Josie Jewell, and they like Keyshawn Bierria, 2 young rookies that they've brought in that Zaire Anderson is competing with to make the football team.
It's a 43-yard field goal attempt from Cody Parkey. On the way, and it is perfect. Puts the Bears in double digits. So with Chase Daniel in the game now, the second-team offense for the Bears replacing Mitch Trubisky, we thought this might be a good time to visit some good old-fashioned training camp fun for the Bears.
Jersey! You're the best quarterback ever.
The hat.
Coach Nagy!
That's awesome, man. You got to be able to laugh at yourself.
So who was that?
And Trubisky was able to. Who was that masked man? That was Chase Daniel. So in essence, Trubisky is signing an autograph for his own backup quarterback, and Trubisky had no idea.
So Chase Daniel dressed up in the jersey, went into the crowd with the fans.
Yes, with a big hat on.
Fooled him
Looked
to
down.
Oh my.
Yes.
So that was, the funniest part of that whole thing was then it sounded like he then went to like Coach Nagy. He was trying to get him to come over and see if he could spoof him.
But Trubisky is so focused, right? He doesn't look up and see he's signing for his backup quarterback.
Oh, that's funny.
That kick out of the end zone.
Those are the dog days, man. You got to find a way to get through training camp. Chase Daniels is like the perfect vet, backup quarterback. Been around 10 years, and he's just kind of like a security blanket. Like John Elway said, if you need a guy to go in there and win a game, you want a vet like that who's, the stage isn't going to be too big for him.
See how the Broncos will play this. Looks conservative with 32 seconds left in the half. Chad Kelly will take a knee.
Good first half though for this Broncos team. Based on what happened a week ago, they got some things going offensively with Case Keenum throwing the football. They ran the football well. That was kind of a good mix for Billy Musgrave. He'd be happy in the first half.
Passing touchdown, running touchdown, got a 2-point conversion.
Yep, scored
got
on
the
defense.
Safety, Bradley Chubb.
And then an interception for Justin Simmons. I mean, that's a pretty good first half.
I mean, it's a total turnaround, I think. And you can't overreact to this, just like you can't overreact to what happened a week ago.
No, but you needed to come out and play better.
Yes.
There's no question.
John Elway said to his teammates, show some pride tonight, especially the first teamers. And that pride was on display in the first half. Once again, here's Rod.
Thanks, Steve. Here with Justin Simmons. Big stop. Defense really looks so different than last week, Justin.
Yeah, there were a few things that we need to get fixed up, just talking about the first half. But all in all, we were a lot more impressed with our communication technique in the first half. Still some stuff we need to fix. We'll look at the film and we'll get right for week 3.
And last thing, tell me about your interception. Perfect timing for it, plus an impressive return.
Hey, I'm trying to turn turnovers into points, but I got to work on my ball security a little bit. I know the ball was out, but yeah, I mean, it was a play we were expecting. We just got to execute. Like I said, when you execute, the coach is always going to put you in the right spot at the right time. So it's just executing the play that's called, and that's what we did.
Very good. Hey, that ball out worked fine for a keep, so, make it work, right?
Hey, man, he's the one that taught me the return skill, so I'm going to just keep going. It worked out well for him.
Perfect, Justin. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we'll send it back up to you.
Rod, thank you. Aqib Talib lives on here in Denver, even though he has moved on. All gone right tonight so far in the first half for the Broncos. They lead the Bears 20-10. Now stay tuned for the Nissan halftime report. Broncos doubling up the Bears at halftime as we get you set for third quarter action. Steve Levy alongside Brian Greasy. Rod Mackey will join us in a bit, but Von Joseph talked about success on the scoreboard. Was 20-10 scream success to you?
Yeah, I thought it was what they needed. They needed to come out, start fast on both offense and defense, and I thought that they did that. They executed better this week.
Some of our first half highlights, and there were plenty for the Broncos, scoring every which way.
Yeah, I mean, they got to start it with the safety for Chubb. Great way to start scoring on defense, and then Case Keenum needed to get into a rhythm. He got Jeff Hireman into the game. He had a couple of catches, 2-point conversion. He got on the same page with Emmanuel Sanders for 3 catches and got in the end zone, which they needed to do. And then Chad Kelly came in and did what Chad Kelly's been doing, which is throwing touchdown passes. They're able to connect with Cortland Sutton on a dart, and that finished out the scoring in the first half. So both quarterbacks came out ready to play in this game.
First half stats are brought to you by Verizon. 4 of 6 third downs. If I could circle anything, I would circle that. Those 4 third down conversions.
Well, that was something that Vance Joseph said in our meeting yesterday too, was win third downs, and they've been able to do that on defense, rushing the passer, and then being efficient from the quarterback spot and making plays at the receiver position.
And Denver will get the football to open up the second half. Get a look at Brandon Langley now on the return game. See if he can spark the Broncos, give them some field position to work with to open up quarter number 3. Here's Langley from the goal line, weaving his way out to the 25-yard line. Time to meet the player, brought to you by CenturyLink. Tonight we spotlight Broncos quarterback Chad Kelly. Chad was Mr. Irrelevant, the final player selected in the 2017 NFL Draft from college Ole Miss. He's got 25 school records, played football, basketball, lacrosse. He's a 4-time national punt, pass, and kick winner. That's amazing. And if the last name sounds familiar, it should. And you know Uncle Jim is watching someplace in Western New York tonight. Kelly under center to open up quarter number 3. And he will keep it on the ground. Philip Lindsay, a little spin move out to the 40. And if he could have stayed on his feet, would have been a chunk more. But that's how you come out of halftime, gain of 15.
Well, you talk to anybody in the Broncos organization, from players, offensive and defensive side, coaches, personnel folks, everybody says the same thing about Philip Lindsay. He just brings juice. He's got energy. He's a dynamic player. We know what kind of leader he is from being around here in the front range playing for the CU Buffs. He's got an excellent chance to make this football team as a free agent.
Out of the Denver Public Schools Futures Football Program, the first player out of that program to make it to the NFL. Here's Kelly throwing on the run and completing to Matt Lacoste. Lacoste caught a touchdown pass a week ago, right back to the tight end for a gain of 7.
Take a look at Philip Lindsay in college. I mean, this was what we got so used to, that hair flying around and motivating his team, but he was solid, and it was a big part of the reason that the CU Buffs had so much success a couple of years ago. And they're going to miss him in Boulder.
Grew up in Aurora, Denver South High School, the 16th Denver Bronco. Play high school, college football, and obviously the NFL in the Denver area. Lindsay is out ahead to midfield.
So he's not the biggest guy. I think that's the first thing that you'll notice. He's 5'8", 190 pounds, but he plays a little bit bigger than that. You see his feet. Feet are really good in the hole. He's fast. He doesn't hesitate when he hits the hole and catches the ball really well out of the backfield. I think probably the most natural position for him on offense, at least to start, is kind of that third down, back out of the backfield catching the football, because the thing that surprised the coaches most is him in pass protection, picking up guys.
Does a lot of work at gunner on the special teams as well, so he can be successful for you all over the field. And he's showing off that spin move. 5 carries, 25 yards so far, owning this drive.
I think the coaching staff feel really good about his contributions in special teams as a kick returner. They feel good about him in coverage unit situations. I think they made a concerted effort in this first drive coming out to see if he could handle the load as a feature back. Hand the ball to him 4 or 5 times in a row and see how he does.
So, Grease, if my math is correct, the Broncos want to keep 6 wide receivers. I've got 12 on the roster. We know of 4 spots. That leaves 2 other spots really for 8 players. Here's Kelly on the run, throwing across his body and completing. Jordan Leslie gets into the act, the first-year player out of BYU.
Yeah, you finished your math problem.
Well, 2 players for 8 players for 2 spots.
Right, at wide receiver.
Right.
Which I think, you know, you're looking, certainly you're looking at Tim Patrick potentially, Isaiah McKenzie, and River Craycraft. Those are the 3, I think.
Those would be your favorites there.
That are kind of in that battle. And then Philip Lindsay, I think, you know, you would have to say Philip Lindsay is an odds-on favorite to make the team right now.
Chicago has challenged the previous play of a completed catch at the sideline.
Yeah, it looked like Leslie might have stepped out with his heel, but see when we come back.
So you want to go back to the running back math game? They want to keep 5 backs, right? Got to include Andy Janovich. That leaves 4 other backs. Lindsay, Booker, Henderson, Williams, Freeman, in no particular order. Across midfield, snap a bit high, Kelly able to bring it down. Sideline, and the throw and catch. It's Tim Patrick on the receiving end.
Tim Patrick has burst onto the scene. Nobody knew who this guy was. He thought it was just a camp body, and he has come in and made play after play like this in practice. They say he's one of the best receivers getting off the jam at the line of scrimmage. He's big, physical, goes up and makes these kind of plays. It's going to be hard not to keep him on this football team.
That's good for 27 yards there. A flag flies behind D'Angelo Henderson. He gets the carry. Patrick is said to be feisty as well, and a couple of skirmishes that broke out this week with the Bears. Apparently Tim was involved in each of them.
Well, you've added 2 players at the receiver position.
2 fouls in play. Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 84. That penalty is declined. Holding, offense, number 74. That penalty will be accepted. 10-yard penalty, first down.
They've added 2 wide receivers on this team since last year in Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. They're both 6'4", 6'5", 215 to 25 pounds. So these are 2 guys that are going to help in the passing game in ways that they haven't had before. But Patrick is an amazing story. Broke his leg, a compound fracture when he was at Utah. Didn't know if he's going to be able to walk again, and he's just consistently worked his way back into this opportunity you see tonight.
18 months without football. Couldn't walk for 4 months. And he's tearing it up on the special teams as well. 1st and 20 after the penalty. On the ground to Lindsey. Takes a big shot in the chest. Wrapped up nicely there by the Chicago Bears.
You love his effort. He is fearless. You can just sense the fearless nature, but you get running through those line of scrimmage, you better get your pads down. Otherwise, these DBs are going to get you in the chest.
That's Kevin Tolliver. There are 90 players on these squads. Some of them have the same numbers. Some play on offense, some on defense.
No excuse.
It's a fair excuse. 2nd and 14. Kelly being chased. Unable to get out of it and get out of bounds as Bilal Nichols was trying to track him down.
First time I've seen miscommunication from Chad Kelly in the offense. Obviously he wanted to throw the football, but you had guys downfield. You had Patrick down, look at this, making blocks down here. Just not on the same page. That's the tight end, Brian Parker, blocking downfield, never looking for the pass. He thought it was a run play.
Kelly so far 4 of 5 for 55 yards. And a laser beam of a touchdown pass. 2 to snap it. 1. No way. They get the timeout?
I don't think so.
Play game. Offense. Number 6. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And that's one of the signs of a young, inexperienced quarterback.
Yeah, listen, you know it's not going to look perfect out there. Last week, it looked great. There were some really big splash plays, but he had some mistakes as well, the interception. And you're starting to see one of the areas that he's going to have to work, and it's no surprise, but you have to work on your communication in the huddle, timing at the line of scrimmage, getting out of the huddle so you have time to make audibles. Can't let it get away from him.
3rd and 22. Take the easy one underneath. Able to connect to Jordan Leslie. Nowhere near the first down. Got 14.
What a smart play. I mean, that's the only play you had, right? You make the field goal attempt for McManus a little bit shorter. That's your job in that situation. McManus is a guy that needs to be better than he was a year ago too, right? He made about 75% of his field goals a year ago, but that's not up to his standard. There were times when offense is struggling to get any kind of points, and he misses an easy field goal a year ago. So he's another one that needs to improve from his play.
There's from 35, and that is right on. McManus did struggle early last season. Seemed to figure it out week 6. Broncos will add to their lead, up 13 in the 3rd. 8:56 to go here in the 3rd. Could have some weather approaching, making for an interesting 4th quarter. Get a look at Paxton Lynch. That will be interesting as well. Taquan Mizell, 5 yards deep in the end zone. Will run it out. Mizell is flattened in a big way. Crushed down inside the 15-yard line.
Good shot of Case Keenum and Chad Kelly on the sideline, talking through on the iPad, that last drive. We see a lot of this. Last week we saw Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, which was really nice to see, coaching up the young guys, and that's leadership, right? That's the leadership on this team. Been really impressed with how they've embraced these young players.
That's part of the job, I would think, veteran player, but I don't think everybody does it. Well, like Juan Mizell, the ball carrier, Gerald Garcia-Williams, the stop.
Well, you're right. I mean, you really have to be secure in who you are as a player to be helping, younger players out that are potentially coming for your job. So,
some human nature involved there.
But I think, between Von Miller's not worried about anything.
No.
But Case Keenum, Case Keenum's been in Chad Kelly's spot. Most of his career, he's had to fight for everything he's got, and nothing's been given to him. And I think he wants to repay that.
Here's Chase Daniel. He'll just throw it away. Broncos got some excellent pressure on him. Bring up a 3rd and 6. That was Shane Ray trying to chase down Daniel. Ray is on his 2nd brace, I believe, on the left wrist. He will graduate to a 3rd different brace, and that should get him into the regular season. Said the grip is much better. The thumb action is much better, but it's still not where it needs to be and should be. But he's playing through it. Here's 3rd down and 6. Some pressure from the Broncos. And it's in and out of the hands of the tight end, Ben Broniker. There's a flag down.
I think they're going to get a roughing the passer penalty, and it's a good call. You get this stop on 3rd down, and you just can't help yourself. You hit the quarterback late.
There's 2 fouls in the play, both on the defense. Illegal hands. Defense, 59. Penalties decline. Personal foul, roughing the passer, 52. That penalty is accepted. 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
That's Garcia-Williams.
Yeah, Gerald Garcia-Williams. You see the ball comes out of Chase Daniel's hand, and a couple of steps there, and then you drive him into the ground. It's just, you got to know, whether you like it or not, you got to know that these things are going to be called.
Gives him the 1st down. High snap. Daniel able to corral it to Kevin White on the screen. And he'll get outside. He's forced out of bounds by Isaac Yadam, but he did pick up a gain of 5.
Yadam's playing a lot of football in this game. He was out there with the starters because of the fact that Chris Harris wasn't playing in this game. Now you're going to see a lot of Josie Jewell. They are excited about this young man, the rookie linebacker out of Iowa. Talking with the coaching staff, they say he's a beast. In so many ways, he's going to impact this team this year.
On the ground to Mizell. And he's not going anywhere. The mark is forward progress. Hope a lot of you didn't jump on those Josie Jewell number 47 jerseys. Jewell pressed into a number change this week. The way we understand it's not something he wanted.
Yeah,
Jewell going to number 59.
They signed Shamarko Thomas, who's a veteran, and he wanted 47. So the way it works in the NFL is the rookie takes whatever's left. And I like 59. That's more of a linebacker.
Absolutely.
50s. I know the rules. Whatever number he ends up with, he's going to make it a number that the Bronco fans really like.
58's Von Miller. Don't you want to be next to him? 59 sounds good to me. We'll step out. 23-10 Denver. Back in Denver, the Broncos playing their 2nd preseason game after falling a week ago to the mighty Vikings, 42-28. The similar 5-11 Bears are in town here tonight. Chicago gets the extra week of practice, extra game, played the Hall of Fame game with the induction of Brian Urlacher in the Hall of Fame. That's got to be helpful for a young, no?
Yeah, well, especially with a new head coach, but I can tell you the players don't want to play that extra game.
You want the extra preseason game. Or the extra week of camp, probably. Let's see there. See who moved.
Bradley Soel.
False start. Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
He knew it right away, too.
Yeah.
Sewell in the 7th year out of Mississippi. Re-signed for a couple of years, $3 million. As the backup for Charles Leno, left tackle. 3rd and 9. Here's Daniel with someone in his face. The ball flutters and it's dropped. In and out of the hands of the tight end, Daniel Brown. That didn't look good coming out of his hand immediately. But again, he had immediate pressure.
Nice rush from DeMarcus Walker. You know, everybody wants to talk about the outside pass rushers, but I think this needs to be an important part of the pass rush for Denver this season. Just a little ET stunt. The end comes first and then the tackle wraps around. That's why they call it ET. And he puts pressure on Chase Daniel just enough to force the inaccurate throw.
Get this, first Bears punt of the night. Pat O'Donnell. And rocked, and there come the flags flying immediately. Isaiah McKenzie took the brunt of that. DeAndre Hall put the lick on him.
He signaled for the fair catch very clearly, and Hall was running right at him. He clearly saw that. Take a listen. That's dangerous. You want to talk about safety of players. That's going to be a personal foul, but that's a very dangerous play because as soon as McKenzie calls for the fair catch, he's not expecting to get hit. His whole body's relaxed.
Good job by McKenzie to hang on to the football, too.
Unnecessary roughness, number 32. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Boy, and lucky that he didn't duck his head because that would have been an ejection. Those are the kinds of things, you know, there's clearly there's the helmet rule, but there's also ejection rules as well. And if you're taking aim at a guy and ducking your head and your body's in that linear position with your back flat and you're spearing a guy, that's where guys are going to begin to get ejected from games.
McKenzie will go to the medical pop-up tent. The Danny Trevathan hit last year on Devontae Adams of Green Bay. That was the poster child for what will be an ejection from New York this season. D'Angelo Henderson in the backfield. And he'll take the handoff on the inside from Chad Kelly. Down to Rod.
Steve, thank you. Here with Domata Petco, and I was talking to Justin Simmons about it at half. You guys look far different this week than last week. I know Joe Woods had commented, said, I was a little disappointed but not discouraged. We see why now.
Yeah, man, I feel like we started way faster this week. Really got in it really quick and got after them. Had a nice little stop here, and they missed a field goal. And then had them backed up here, got another little stop there. So felt really good today, man. We still got a lot to do, but felt good to get back out there and watch some of the guys make some plays. Chubb had a good job, did a good job out there, and our D-line was out there stopping the run.
Speaking of the D-line, I heard you wanted to bring the entire D-line here over with you. I don't think Bill Kollar would have been a big fan of that.
Yeah. Bill Kollar is one of the best defensive line coaches in the game. But just like me and Adam, some of the guys are out of the game right now. Not all of us, but yeah, man, it's all about team and it's all about love. That's why I love my group.
You got one of the deepest positions on the team too, Domata.
Yeah, very deep, and that's what you need to go the distance, man. You got to have no drop-off in the depth, and defensive line is looking really stout, really stacked.
How fun is it for you? You said just watching. I mean, you're watching this offense too, and it helps you guys because I know last year you guys got put in a hole several times. It doesn't seem to be happening with that. Chad doing some great things, and then Case doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, man, loving Case. He's a great quarterback. Swaggy Kelly's doing a great job as well, and big shout out to our #1 offense. They went out there. They had a couple good drives there. A drive of 10-play drive, and that really tires out a defense and gives us some time to rest.
Very good. Domata, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it,
All right, man. Send it back up to you guys.
The anchor of the confirmed strength of this Broncos team, that defensive front seven.
He's one of my favorite characters, too. He's just got a great feel about him, right? Like, he's always smiling. For as big a guy as he is and as menacing as he is, he's just like a gentle, loving spirit, man. Like, it's awesome.
Hat looks good on you.
Hey, look like he's ready to go fishing.
Yep.
He's got that fishing hat going. He's got a really good aura about him. Really nice throw, and Domital was talking there. A nice throw from Chad Kelly to Brian Parker in the seam.
Here's Kelly, showing the arm strength. Get it outside the numbers.
And the first sighting of D'Angelo Henderson, too. And, you know, D'Angelo Henderson was burst onto the scene last preseason. He was last year's Philip Lindsay. Right now, everybody's, you know,
yes.
Philip Lindsay this and Philip Lindsay. That was D'Angelo last training camp, and then we didn't hear about him in the regular season at all because of Jamal Charles. He got a little, you know, opportunity in the final game of the season. But D'Angelo Henderson's fighting for a roster spot here tonight, too.
Dave Williams now checks in at running back. Chad Kelly, 7 of 8 for 90 yards. Here's 3rd and 4. Kelly down the sideline. Just too much on it for Tim Patrick. And look at the reaction. Kelly, he knows.
Boy, normally when a receiver gets behind a defender like this, you're going to put air on the ball. You only throw that dart when you're throwing the back shoulder. If he puts a little air on this ball and let Tim Patrick run underneath it, that's a touchdown easy, and I think he knows that. But those are the little things. You'll go back and watch the film with Billy Musgrave and say, listen, when he beats a guy, give the ball some air.
But I will say this, the bright lights of being number 2 as opposed to number 3, that does not appear to have phased Kelly at all. Nope. Going against the 3s last week, looks just as comfortable against the second teamers of the Bears here tonight. Here's King from the 50. See if he can drop it. No, fool with a touchback. There'll be no dancing after that. He knows he was close too to making a big play. Let's help the kids out, people. Here are the Bears now. 3 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. Able to complete to Daniel Brown. Zaire Anderson on the coverage. It's a gain of 11 on the play.
Zaire Anderson playing a zone coverage back there, and you know, he's really good. He's a really good special teams player, but where he needs to improve and make this team is he's not the biggest guys, is run defense. And been good in the passing game, but the run defense has been his weakness. Here's
Mizell, the ball carrier, just past the 35. Bit of a skirmish, some after the whistle action. It's a gain of 5. What do you think of joint practices? I know people have different opinions on that. We saw the Jets and Redskins in Virginia this week.
Yep.
They had some real brawls spilling into the crowd at some point.
Yeah.
People seem to cool down here for the Broncos and the Bears.
A lot of that Jets Washington thing was because of Terrell Pryor. They were jabbing back and forth, and DJ Swearinger is a known talker. So that's kind of the anomaly. I think they're really helpful for both teams. I really do. You get a lot of work done. You get situational work done. You can run 2 fields at once.
Right.
So you got your offense against their defense and vice versa. So get a lot of work done. Coaches like Vance Joseph sometimes will say those practices are more valuable even than the games.
So what's the downside to it then? Why would teams not want to get involved? Maybe it's hard to find a dance partner.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have a relationship, coach to coach. I think that's where it starts. And you know, the downside is you can get heated and you can expose yourself to a little more injury. But I think the benefits far outweigh the risks.
Von Joseph this week talked about finding the snakes in our defense, and that only happens when going up against another team.
Yeah, he was talking about snakes in the scheme, right? That's I think the term that he used, and you know, you don't find that until you go up against a different offense that's game planning against you, and that's a benefit.
Out of the timeout. Long pass down the sideline, nearly a miraculous catch by Taquan Mizell.
Nice coverage by Jordan Moore, first-year player, the University of Texas San Antonio. He's getting an extended look tonight with the injuries at safety, and he gets out on the edge, lined up against a running back, and pretty good coverage in man-to-man for a big safety.
3rd and 5 upcoming. Daniel tries to shovel it and nearly picked off. Nearly intercepted. Gerald Garcia-Williams knows he had that football.
Yeah, well, Garcia-Williams had that late hit on the quarterback on the last drive, and he's made up for it with a couple of good rushes and a heads-up play here. Gets a mitt on this screen pass. Almost comes up with it. There's so many outside rushers. This team is stacked with rushers, and Garcia-Williams is trying to make a name for himself.
Bears have a bit of a punting duel going on. That's Ryan Winslow, the rookie out of Pittsburgh. Here's Lindsey across the 30. He is exciting, man. Every time he touches the football, something good can happen. Tonight, Broncos Flashback brought to you by CarMax. After a major snowstorm the day before, it was a cold Monday night football game as the Bears and Broncos met November 16th, 1987. The turning point in the game came when William Perry, the Fridge, was stuffed and fumbled at the goal line. John Elway then produced one of his patented comebacks. The Broncos would prevail. 8-play, 61-yard drive for the winning touchdown, ending in a 31-29 victory. And with that, we say hello to Paxton Lynch. He has entered the football game now with 1:48 to go in the third quarter. Chad Kelly's night is over. D'Angelo Henderson, fake to him, and Lynch to throw. And it's off the fingertips. Tim Patrick couldn't pull it off the turf.
So this will be interesting to see from Paxton Lynch. How do you respond, right? There's been a lot of adversity in his young 3-year career. And yet more adversity this week with the demotion. And listen, I think the best thing for Paxton Lynch would be, forget about what everybody's saying. Forget about what everybody thinks. You walk down the field just now, it gets booed, right? Like, just put it all out of your head and let it rip, man. Like, with that first throw, you can see he's tentative, low. Just, you got to find a way as a quarterback in this league to have a short-term memory and to have the mental toughness to just move on, man. And that's been his struggle.
And there's nowhere else to go, right? After being demoted to 3, the next move is out of town. And you wonder, you know, John Elway has a decision to make. And Chad Kelly was impressive again tonight. Highly unlikely they'd keep 3 quarterbacks.
Well, Paxton Lynch has a lot of work to do to even make it a tough decision for John Elway. Let's just put it that way.
But you understand the Broncos giving him every opportunity. They moved up in the first round to get him. They've paid him the majority of his money already. He's got all the physical characteristics you would want. Here's Lynch. He'll tuck it and turn the corner. Out to the 50-yard line. Here's Vance Joseph on Lynch's reaction to being demoted to the 3rd string.
He is upset. He didn't like it. He wants to know why, and he's got to play better. It's simple as that. It's a competition. Okay, it's the league. You know, everyone's doing this. You know, no one's not playing their best players. Okay, and it's really more about Chad. You know, Chad has competed, and Chad's played well.
The thing I didn't like about that was he wanted to know why.
Right.
If he really said, "I want to know why,"
you're saying he should already know.
Then yeah, he needs a wake up.
You just wonder how many more opportunities he will get. The clock is obviously ticking. So here's a chance to go up against the 3rd string of what was, you know, a bad Bears team a year ago at 5-11.
The question is he's going to get 2 opportunities, one tonight and one in the 4th preseason game.
Right. That's it. 3 quarters in the books from Denver tonight. The Broncos are on top 23-10. See what Paxton Lynch has to offer when we come back.
23-10. Quick injury update for you. Isaiah McKenzie is being evaluated for concussion after getting blasted on that fair catch. And Brian, as you predicted, Will Parks is now officially out.
These preseason games are so tough, right? How do you see what a player has to offer without putting them on the field? That makes them susceptible to injury. Right. Already thin in the secondary, the Broncos are. As we welcome you back to quarter number 4. And Paxton Lynch is going to be dropped. He is taken down by John Jenkins in the backfield. There is a flag.
Holding, Defense, number 97, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Let me ask you one more thing, Grease, about Paxton Lynch. You said 2 more chances, so here's one of them tonight, and then you said this in the 4th game.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt in your mind he makes it to the 4th game, right?
Well, you know, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I mean, I think there could be a situation where, you know, John Elway goes out and says, listen, I got to bring in a veteran quarterback. And he said that this week, John Elway said, we're going to get through this game, and then we're going to evaluate. And now you see, you know, John there, and that's Gary Kubiak right over his left shoulder. So those 2 guys are going to work in tandem, right? They are long-time confidants, and they're going to come up with a plan at backup quarterback. Be interested to see if you ask them this week, you know, how comfortable they are with Chad Kelly and the way that he played tonight. Did he take a further step in the right direction? And what's their level of comfort with him being the guy? Because you have to be comfortable with your backup quarterback being the guy.
Now, those around the country who are wondering here, what about, you know, Colin Kaepernick is out there. John Elway made that very clear this week here in Denver that Kaepernick is not an option. He cited 2016 that Elway had offered a contract to Kaepernick. It was a hefty haircut in terms of a salary, and Kaepernick declined that. No trade could be worked out, and Elway said he hasn't thought about Kaepernick again. That was the opportunity to come to Denver, and Kaepernick didn't want that. That's John Elway's words this week.
It was also interesting. You know, they tried to get Case Keenum here as well, and it couldn't work out a deal with the LA Rams. And just think if that deal would have gone through. You never draft Paxton Lynch. You know, you don't have Mark Sanchez. That experiment, the Trevor Siemian thing never happened. Just like that's how close these things happen in the NFL, and entire franchises turn on these decisions.
Here's Lynch with good protection and an excellent defensive play. That ball batted away. Joel Buniwe able to make the stop. They call him Iggy.
I'm glad you had a chance to say that, guys.
I've been practicing all day, brother. All day.
Well done. Although nobody would know if you mispronounced it because we don't know how to pronounce his name.
A lot of people know that one.
Okay.
Marquette King is on. This will be his 3rd punt. He's got a 44-yard average. He did drop 1 inside the 20. Put him back at the 5. Actually led to the safety early on. King looked like he was angling this one. And it is caught at the 5. No fair catch. Cravon LeBlanc trying to make something out of nothing. And it's Lindsey on the special teams. And there's Marquette King showing off some of that famous personality. We'll be right back. Everybody loves the little guy. Lot to love about Philip Lindsey.
It's just a football player. This is just tonight, okay, Steve? Take a look at all the things he's been doing. Returning punts, returning kickoffs. He's been running down on kickoffs. This was him in kickoff cover, running down right next to Brandon McManus. Here's him on the last punt, okay? Makes a play inside the 5-yard line. You tell this guy what you want him to do, run the football 5 times in a row, he'll do whatever you want him to do. He's a football player. Last week he catches the touchdown pass. You name it, Philip Lindsey does it.
An abundant amount of energy all over the field. Although it looks like he's missing something. I can't put my finger on it. Clearly there was no rookie haircut for him. We safe to say that.
You can't mess with that.
Oh, that's perfection.
Yeah. No.
Now that's a salad and a half coming out of that helmet.
I think he might be missing some hair right above his eyes.
Those wily veterans.
I'm just glad they didn't touch his hair. Like, you can't do that to him.
Off limits.
But yeah, you tell me, how does that guy not make the team?
No, I got him penciled in on my roster.
Well, he's an undrafted free agent.
Yep.
You know, like the only reason I can come up with that why he was undrafted was his size.
Right. And he's one of those, the size goes 5'8", and they're never as big as their list, right? They're always really a little smaller, an inch or so. We got him at 5'8", 190.
Yeah. Well, Advanced Joseph was telling us last week, he feels like he's the best guy they have at the gunner position.
Right.
Punt.
But then another.
Billy Musgrave told us he was really good in pass pro striking linebackers. I mean, listen, I don't care what the size of the man is. I care the size of the heart of the man, and that guy's got a lot of heart.
Here's 3rd and 7. Chase Daniel steps up out of the end zone, Might have been a bit of a face mask there. Let's see if they called it. I don't think they did. Broncos might have gotten away with one there. Dropped at the 5-yard line by Clinton McDonald. Good to see his shoulders holding up to make the play.
Yep, Clinton McDonald came this offseason as a free agent, and man, it was a scare last week with his shoulder. I went to go see a specialist and got the A-OK, so hopefully that holds up through the course of the season.
Ryan Winslow has got his heels on the back of the end zone. And there is Lindsey, of course. Who else? Waiting at the 45. He'll run up now, cross midfield, and pick up a block. Here is Philip Lindsey. Can't say enough about him.
So the fact that Philip Lindsey's back there returning a bunch of punts tonight tells you another thing, right? About the competition with Isaiah McKenzie.
And McKenzie got hurt earlier as well, dealing with concussion. But we said something was missing on Lindsey. They took care of his eyebrows. They wouldn't touch the hair. Some of his other teammates were not nearly as lucky.
Oh my gosh.
That's Cortland Sutton.
I have no idea what that is.
Have you seen Bradley Chubb lately?
Oh, jeez.
Where's Mark Chapman shaking his head?
Oh, that's the Tebow, the Friar.
Right. And Deshaun Hamilton. We got a chance to meet with Hamilton. He walked in, he had his hoodie up. Not just on, he had the hoodie up. We're like, what's up? And then he pulled it down and revealed that. So they should also thank Emmanuel Sanders for putting it on his Twitter account, posting it for everybody to see. D'Angelo Henderson out of the backfield. Now, I think that's all in good fun. You got an issue with that? Well, it's not my hair.
Yeah, clearly. You know what? No, I'm not a big fan of this, to be totally honest with you. And I understand, look, hazing has gone back so far in football. Everybody had their way of doing things. I just think that this is a demeaning way to treat. Those are men. Those aren't boys, okay? They're not in high school and college. Right. These are men fighting for their life to make a team, okay? And by the way, you're going to need these guys. Emmanuel Sanders is going to need Deshaun Hamilton. He's going to need Cortland Sutton. And to treat him like that, I just think it adds a little bit of divisiveness that you don't need.
So the hazing word is too strong in this case. I mean, they've just about outlawed hazing everywhere, fraternities. It's, you know, colleges, fraternities, all sorts of sports teams, right? But this to me seems sort of harmless and fun. You got to do something to them. Make them earn their spot in the locker room, not on the field, but in the locker room.
Oh, absolutely. You have to, and what is typically done is you take out your position group to dinner, and you pay for the whole dinner, and it could be $10,000, $15,000 dinner. That's traditionally what it's been, and I think that's that's the right thing to do. But demeaning people, I just here's all I need to say. Here's all I need to say. Von Miller doesn't like it. Peyton Manning didn't like it. Okay, like the two best leaders in this organization in the last 10 years. So what else do you need to know?
Let's check out Rod's hair. Rod.
All right, Steve, Brian, thank you very much. When you were a rookie, they didn't touch the hair, right? They got eyebrows.
Yeah, I got my eyebrows. They say my eyebrows off, but they back now. So
how long did it take to come back?
Probably like a month.
Woo.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Did you make the right call though and go eyebrows instead of hair?
Yeah, I love my hair. I gotta keep that.
Okay. Back to football. A lot expected of you this season. Akib's gone. Everyone's kind of always called you a #1 guy, a starter, because you're in there all the time making stuff. You put more pressure on yourself this season, Bradley?
Yeah, every year I want to get better, and last year was my best year. So really, I'm just focused on getting better and playing better than I was last year. So every year you got to improve.
Coaches have talked about this defense is kind of made to play with the lead. Domitage has talked about how much better it is to have Case on the team now because there's not being mistakes made. You kind of feel the same way, Bradley?
Yeah, the name of the game is turnovers, and the less turnovers you have, the more likely you're going to win. So, having a veteran quarterback that makes good decisions is key.
Look, concern, Will Parks goes down, Jamal went down last week. That's one thing at this position. You guys can be a little bit thin.
Yeah, I was talking to the coaches. I might have to go in, play a little safety, hit a little bit. So I'm open to it.
There you go. Anything it takes, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Bradley, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we'll send it back up to you.
You can see these defensive players are so sensitive to the turnovers from a year ago. Yeah. It's on the tip of their tongue.
Defensive players are defensive. So is that a -17 ratio from a year ago?
Well, this was a top 5 defense against the rush and the pass, but they were 24th in scoring defense because they were always in terrible position because of the turnovers of the offense. So they have every right to be sensitive.
Broncos were -17 last year, the second worst turnover ratio. Only 3 teams in the NFL had more interceptions than touchdowns last season. And those other 2 teams were Cleveland and Tennessee.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to win football. It's impossible to win football games with a huge minus in the turnover ratio department. 3rd and 11. With Paxton Lynch calling signals. Doesn't feel the pressure, and he will be swallowed up. Kasim Anibali coming on the sack, and that time Lynch had some time.
Yeah, and this is Billy Turner, the right tackle, 77. He just whiffs on Anibali, and you know, Billy Turner, he's going to be the swing tackle by all intents and purposes. So that is not a good sign for his prospects, and being the main backup to Garrett Bowles on the left side and to Jared Valdir on the right side. I think Billy Turner is more suited to play guard, to be totally honest with you, than tackle. But he's had to be out there because they just don't have a really good option as a backup tackle.
There's Marquette King just inside the 50. Trying to knock that out of bounds. And it'll go for a touchback. Kreider runs in there saying hit the pylon. King is appealing his case as well. Sign him up. Back in Denver, speaking of haircuts, get a good look there.
Nice.
What the veterans did to Austin Schlottman. Marquette King might have had a case. Let's see.
Yeah, it looked like the ball definitely did not go into the end zone. The question is, did Leslie touch it while his feet were in the end zone? Can't really tell from that angle.
Good to see Leslie back out there, by the way.
Yep.
He was shaking off a wrist injury earlier.
I think they just let that play stand as called.
Please correct the game clock to 8:34. 8:34 on the game clock, please.
Game clock is corrected to 8:34. Here in the 4th, Chase Daniel still in there, backing up the starter, Mitchell Trubisky. And he will put it on the ground. Ryan Nall. The Bears will look to continue. So I think the people want to know, did somebody give you a bad haircut at one point? Was there back in hazing in your day, or
no,
something you can share with?
Well, back then they used to tape you to the goalpost, right? And then they pour the powder on you, and then they dump the ice bucket on you. I mean,
so that's demeaning too, then?
Yeah, it's not permanent though.
The hair's gonna grow back.
Well, it takes a while.
Permanent.
It takes a while. I like the only thing I would say is they did show a little bit of discretion, right? If a guy has a lot of hair, you know, like Bradley Roby or Philip Lindsay, don't touch that, you know, like if it's. But you know, some of these other guys.
And then you were in the right, though, to do it to the next guy in a year from now, as having veteran status.
Listen, I know you're a practical joker, and that you know.
Let's have a good time.
You love anything for Twitter for you.
It's fun.
And but I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yes.
You look Josie Jewell in the eye after you cut his hair.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me that he's not going to hold that against you?
No, he was not laughing. He wasn't happy. Here's Benny Fowler racing down the sideline. Benny Fowler, welcome back to Denver. A Bronco for 48 effective games. His first touch tonight.
Benny Fowler's a good player. We know that here in Denver. He was a 3rd wide receiver, and he can make plays. He's going to contribute to this Bears team. They got a lot of players at the wide receiver position, but I think Benny Fowler makes their team.
Daniel to throw. And able to complete to Javon Wims, the rookie out of Georgia.
Well, it looked like Marcus Rios was guarding Wims there, and he came up limping at the end of that play, and now he came off the field, number 38. Boy, and you're starting to see now they're starting to drop in the secondary, and you start to wonder, these guys are playing a lot of snaps, and you're starting to see hamstrings with DeMonte Thomas, hamstring with Jamal Carter.
And the joint practices this week, 2 days in the heat. Now meeting again here tonight under the bright lights. Daniel able to fire it in there to Tanner Gentry. His first catch of the night. First-year player out of Wyoming. Trying to get a look at some people. A tick under 6 to play in the fourth. The Broncos leading 23-10. Daniel will zip that in as well. And again, it's Wims on the catch. Good game for a gain of 13. How about the value of winning one of these games? I know people don't care about the final score, but to me, winning this game would give an extra boost for the Broncos tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it always feels good, but they won every single one.
They were 4-0 last year.
Did you realize you said that and you knew I was going to say that?
Not till you brought it up, no. Yes, 4-0, and it started 3-1 in the regular season. Yeah. And then the floor dropped out.
Here's C.J. Smith, really nice there. In a good position, head back, and almost came up with that interception. C.J. Smith has been a little bit of a pleasant surprise in training camp. He's competing as well with Brendan Langley and Isaac Yadam for that corner position.
Guy who spent 20 weeks on the practice squad with both Philadelphia and Cleveland. Everybody else moved, and he's never snapped the football.
That means the center forgot the snap count.
Whoops.
Just call it on any one of them. You don't have to pick one.
Oh, you got someplace to be, Grease.
Neutral zone infraction, defense. Movement, which created the false start. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Chase Daniels played a lot in this game.
Yes.
We haven't seen any Tyler Bray. I think Matt Nagy is trying to find out what he has in his backup quarterback here.
Daniel on this drive 4 of 5 for 61 yards. Bray made his NFL debut last year here. Botched handoff, run back for a Broncos touchdown last season. Here's Daniel. Underneath. It's Gentry, shy of the goal line.
Another good play there from C.J. Smith, playing in that zone dropping corner. See, passing the Gentry off, and then there he is. Come up and make a sure-handed tackle.
Gentry's got some local roots here.
Field at the snap, half the distance to the goal. First down.
Product of Grandview High School, so he's familiar with these parts and probably has some friends and family in attendance.
Went to Wyoming, just up the interstate. We actually did one of his games, the championship game. He played San Diego State.
Yeah.
And he caught a lot of balls from Josh Allen up there in Wyoming.
It's rather frigid that night, as I recall.
Got a really good open to that.
Cowboy country. McShay's not laughing about it wherever he is. Here's first and goal for the Bears now. Trailing by 13. Daniel looking right, lofts one. Too much for Benny Fowler.
Yeah, again, they're going back, attacking the rookie, Isaac Yadam. Here's Yadam. He gets beat bad off the line of scrimmage. I mean, listen, a rookie corner in the NFL, you're going to look bad from time to time, but the coaching staff, you talk to Vance Joseph, you talk to Joe Wood, they are really excited about Isaac Yadam. They thought he played well last week. It's just an experience thing. He's long. He hasn't kind of grown into his body quite yet physically to play that physical game at the NFL level, but mentally he's right there. So they're excited about him. It's going to take some time.
Second and goal. Daniel throwing on the run and completing for the touchdown. Tyquan Mizell for the score.
Another one of these
trick kind of plays, hiding a receiver in the backfield from Matt Nagy. We saw it against the first team defense with Trey Burton, and now you see it again. He's lined up in the backfield and just slips into the flat, and Moore is late in the coverage for the touchdown.
Makes for a more interesting finish. Here's Cody Parkey on for the extra point. And it's a one-score game. 4:38 to go here in the fourth quarter. Broncos have been comfortable all night. All of a sudden, they need some 4-minute offense. Here's great news for the Broncos. That's Isaiah McKenzie back deep, getting ready to return a kick. Obviously cleared concussion protocol from earlier in the game.
Yep.
It's a welcome sight for the Broncos and their fans. Cody Parkey will put it on a tee. 4.5 to play. And the Broncos up by 6. Denver to get the football. Kenzie will get a bit of a running start from the 3. Trying to get to the outside. He is dragged down. Dropped just shy of the 20-yard line. Well, the Broncos will travel next to our nation's capital, take on the Washington Redskins. Kickoff is set next week, 5:30 at FedEx Field. Our pregame coverage starts at 5. It's a special edition of Broncos Tonight, hosted by Brody Logan, Rod Mackey, and Mike Kliss. Game coverage begins again 5:30 p.m. right here on KTVD Channel 20.
I'm really excited to see that game, because the Broncos defense will get a challenge from Alex Smith, the newly minted Redskins quarterback. We saw Matt Nagy, the former Chiefs play caller, tonight, and we'll see the former signal caller next week.
On the ground, Dave Williams. And we are expecting some of the banged-up Broncos to come back for that game.
Yep.
Among them, Sua Cravens, and that will be interesting. It's a pretty well-written, lengthy article in the Monday Morning Quarterback, Sports Illustrated, this past week about what went wrong with Cravens in Washington,
right,
and now going back to potentially play against the Redskins. That will be one of the storylines going into the game.
Yeah, we hope hopefully he can play. I know that Vance was hopeful that he'd be able to practice next week, but boy, I tell you what, with the injuries now that they've had at safety, Will Parks, they're really thin there.
Here's Lynch to throw, and it's knocked away. You want to keep yourself busy. You check the NFL transaction wire daily during the week. I mean, the amount of moves, the volume of moves, players being cut, players being acquired, players being injured. I mean, it's a never-ending, lengthy list with all these teams trying to juggle their rosters, all at 90 players, to whittle down to get to 53 on September the 1st. You get 10 practice squad players, but wow.
And it always has to be kind of reactive and fluid because of the injuries that you sustained during these games.
Another ball batted away. Paxton Lynch could not get that over the defense. Abdullah Anderson got his big arm, and Lynch is hearing it from the crowd here in Denver. And the other thing about the roster movement, Grease, is so you get injuries, sure, but how about if you just see a player that's better than what you have gets released?
Constantly trying to upgrade.
Might not be anything one of your players did. They're just not as good as what's available to you. Fifth punt of the night. King will boot it away from his 10. Trayvon LeBlanc will let it bounce. And it takes a big Broncos bounce. Mentioned all the moves around the NFL. I mean, there's just the Broncos moves, and this is just 3 days.
Yeah.
See how hectic and busy a time it is.
Because of the Jamal Carter injury, they signed Shamarko Thomas. I wouldn't be surprised if they sign another safety this week based on how severe Will Parks' injury is. But yeah, I mean, this is constant. At this time of year, they're working overtime in the personnel department.
I mean, this has to be the toughest time of the year for general managers. There's just so much activity, so much to keep track of.
All those guys live for that.
Yeah.
They live for that kind of stuff.
They are molding and shaping the upcoming season for their franchise. Daniel's still in there.
Well, yeah, you hear it. People say it all the time. It's cliche that, you know, you're not just auditioning for your team, but 31 other teams. But it's so true. I mean, every film is out there, and every personnel guy is responsible for their number of teams to evaluate the players on those teams at areas of need for their team. And so every player and every snap of these games is being evaluated by those personnel staffs.
And to me, the real compliment is, you know, when you have a really good team, is when you're cutting NFL players, guys who are going to play in the league elsewhere. And, you know, Joe Woods talked about that. The Broncos are so strong in that defensive front seven. Not everyone can stay. And these guys who the Broncos will just kiss off really for nothing are going to play in the league someplace else.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact defense, number 30, 5 yards from the previous spot with an automatic first down.
Oh, but don't think that, you know, the Broncos personnel staff isn't evaluating that too. Areas of depth, which defensive line is certainly one of them. We asked Joe Woods, you're only going to keep 6. They probably have 8 that can play at the NFL level. So, you know, the personnel department will look at that and say, well, listen, you know, number 7 or number 8, maybe we package in a deal to get a trade for somebody. You know, they're doing that too. So it's constant moving of the chess pieces.
th penalty on the Broncos. Accepted penalty, I should point out. It's Mizell who's getting the bulk of the work here tonight for Chicago as we approach 3 minutes to play here in the fourth.
We got some guys out there now on the defensive front for the Broncos. You see this pass completed for another first down, but Deshaun Williams, number 93, the Bronco fans probably don't know a whole lot about him, but Joe Woods was telling us this week in practice he was unblockable. And so like they're really excited about him, but he's like 7 or 8 down on the depth chart because he added Clinton McDonald and Kyle Petco, Shelby Harris, and Kirk could start for a lot of teams.
And as fans think, hey, you know, this preseason game is winding down, the pressure is still on some of these players. This might be their only chance, their only look.
Offense, number 13, did not get set prior to the snap.
So that's got to be tough.
Penalty, first down.
You're a 3rd or 4th teamer. The fans are filing out. But you're trying to put anything positive on tape. Trying to make one splash play to sparkle and stand out. And it's hard, but this might be the only opportunity you get.
Well, I'll never forget. I mean, the guy that taught me, you know, about the value of every rep and about the value of hard work was Rod Smith, right? He came out of nowhere. Nobody knew who the heck he was. He had to make his splash play on special teams, much like Terrell Davis had to do. And that's become a legend, right? But those guys, you know, they show you the way. Like every snap, every minute matters. And Rod Smith used to keep a bag packed. You know, even when he was
amazing story.
Pass interference, offense, number 83, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Even when he was a vet and he was established and he was catching 100 balls a year, you know, I go over to his house and we used to do yoga from time to time, and I go over to his house. I say, Rod, what's that bag by the front door? He's like,
come on.
Listen, man, that reminds me every day I walk out the door that, you know, I could be cut tomorrow, right? And I got a bag packed and I got to go, right? That was his motivation.
And he stands alone as the all-time leading receiver.
He might still have that bag by the door.
What can they do to him now? That's a neat story. 2nd and 25. Daniel's still in there and completed the Tanner Gentry, who's made at least 3 catches this quarter. That's a 14-yard game.
Yeah, Tanner Gentry, he's reliable. Got great hands. Runs good routes. He's not the fastest wide receiver, but reliable.
Got 14 touchdown catches as a senior at Wyoming. 3 catches for 25 yards here tonight as we approach the 2-minute warning. And the Bears are thinking about winning this football game. There's Daniel to throw. Completes to Mizell. Out of bounds at the 25 of the Broncos. Gain of 7.
This is a situation where, you know, Chase Daniel, who's an experienced vet, right? 10 years. He's going up against the number 3 defense for the Broncos. It's advantage Chicago for obvious reasons. He's just sitting back there and picking the secondary apart.
Those that are here are making some noise. Daniel again. Again, it's Mizell out of the backfield. First down yardage, stops the clock, gain of 6.
Slow but sure. Make these, get this first down, get out of bounds. Jordan Moore hadn't played a whole lot of football. You know, you got to defend the sideline in this case. At least force them to use one of their last 2 timeouts or the 2-minute warning, but you can let them easily get a first down, get out of bounds. That's not
2 in a row. From the 20. Here's finally some pressure by the Broncos. They spin Daniel around, can't get him to the ground, and he's able to complete. And again, it's Mizell, and again, they'll give him the out-of-bounds marker.
Boy, Joe Jones, the linebacker, had it dead to rights. Chase Daniel just wasn't able to get him on the ground. He came free right up the middle. You got to finish that play. And that's, you know, sack, potential fumble, put him in a behind the sticks. But Chase Daniel doesn't lose his cool. I think the running back gave up on the play and says, oh, here comes the ball.
Broncos were 22nd in sacks last season after being in the top 5 in both 2015 and 2016. Ryan Nall, the ball carrier.
And that's a direct result of the way teams decided to play against the Broncos. Very conservative.
That'll take us down to the 2-minute warning. Bears driving, trailing by 6. Out of the 2-minute warning, Steve Levy along with Brian Greasy and Rod Mackey. The Bears at the Denver 12, trailing by 6. It's been a rather effective drive for Chicago down the field against the 13 Broncos defense. Third and 3.
It's like a pressure look from Joe Woods, man-to-man across the board.
Here's Chase Daniel and throw. Lofts one, end zone caught, touchdown. Ben Broniker on the touchdown catch. And we are tied at 23s.
You had a lot of young players in the secondary out there, and they finally picked on the rookie linebacker Keyshawn Bierria out of Washington. And you just had the sense there with a quarterback as experienced as Chase Daniel is, that he was going to find a matchup and exploit it.
There's Cody Parkey on for the extra point.
I appreciate the sentiment, but
for the lead. And just like that, the Bears grab it with 1:53 left to play. Chicago by 1.
Opportunity here for Paxton Lynch.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean,
in a big spot.
All you need is a field goal. You got all 2 timeouts, and plenty of time on the clock. You just need to get into around the 35-yard line. Brandon McMahon's got a big leg, so take advantage of the opportunity. It's there for you.
And here is a chance, as you said earlier, to let it go, let it all hang out here. You know, really, at this point, what is the downside?
Well, you got nothing to lose. And if I'm Billy Musgrave, that's what I'm telling him right now. And that's Mike Sullivan, the quarterback coach in his ear right there, who's been really a godsend for all 3 of these quarterbacks. All 3 of them have wonderful things to say about Sullivan. So that's exactly what I would be telling him. So look, kid, man, put all this negativity out of your mind. You got a chance to go out here and play the game you love. Let it rip, dude. Don't second guess yourself. Don't hesitate. If it's there, take it.
Vance Joseph with some words of encouragement as well. Brandon Langley go for the touchback, bring it out to the 25, and here's Rod.
Guys, we got to give a shout out to the Denver Outlaws. They beat Dallas tonight 16-12 to win the Outdoor Lacrosse Championship. It's actually their second one in the last 3 years, their third in the last 5 years, and that makes 7 championships for Pat Bowen-owned franchises. 3 from the Outlaws, 3 for the Broncos, and 1 for the Colorado Crush. Back to you.
Wow.
All right.
That's pretty awesome.
Speaking of Pat Bowen, big week upcoming for him. I think he gets the nod, by the way.
Hall of Fame, well, it's long overdue.
Rubber stamp time, I would think. Mr. B, as they call him affectionately here. That word should come down on Thursday. Isaiah McKenzie from Paxton Lynch. There is a flag down. It's a gain of 8 if it stands.
Yeah, I think this is going to go against the Bears in the secondary.
Illegal contact. Defense number 46. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So a good start for Paxton Lynch. Takes the under route to Isaiah McKenzie, gets good yardage, stops the clock on a penalty, and gets a first down. I mean, that's as good as you can do in the 2-minute drill.
The wind starts to whip up a little bit here in the stadium. Ball is spotted at the 30.
If I'm Paxton, I'm finding Isaiah McKenzie. He's the most dynamic player out there on the field right now. He's lined up in the slot.
Lynch gets some pressure, lets it go, tries the far side, and welcome to the game, John Diarse. Nice grab to get out of bounds and stop the clock. It's a gain of 14. That was a nice toss.
On time. You know, most importantly, on time. That's we call that a circus route. Go big out route, about 15 to 22 yards on the sideline. That ball was well thrown.
Ball spotted at the 44 now of the Broncos. Lynch has Dave Williams with him. Here's some late pressure by the Bears, and he unloads to Williams. Rather, McKenzie again, I beg your pardon. There is a flag down.
I think they're going to get pass interference on the Broncos. But a great job there from Paxton Lynch, identifying the blitz.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 9. 10-yard penalty replay, first down.
Let's take a look at Paxton Lynch here. Understanding that the blitz is coming, it's coming right here, and you got to retreat, throw an accurate ball there. And it looked like Diarse got caught up in the middle of the field, just traffic. But I did not see a pass interference call there on Diarse.
And those penalties can be drive killers. Let's see how Lynch responds. Pushed all the way back to the 34.
Run.
And he will, and scamper out of bounds after a gain of a few.
Anytime he can run, you know, and especially in a 2-minute drill when they're playing man-to-man coverage, you're going to have some lanes. And the best thing about being able to run athleticism like Paxton has and the speed is he can get to the sideline and get out of bounds and stop the clock.
Got 5 yards there. 2nd and 15 at their own 39. Minute 27 on the clock. Denver has 2 timeouts remaining. Only need a field goal. Able to avoid the pressure. Now has all sorts of time to survey the field. And he'll just throw it away.
Nice job of stepping up in the pocket, extending the play. He just missed John Diarse, who was wide open down the middle of the field. And if he would have been able to get the football to him, would have been a 30 to 40-yard gain.
Well, he'll have another crack on 3rd and 15.
The problem when you extend plays like that is all your wide receivers are gassed now. Like they ran 40 to 50 yards on the last play, and now you come right back to the line of scrimmage.
Lynch again forced to his left, able to connect to Dave Williams out of the backfield. A flag comes in late, and that will stop the clock with 1:09.
In case you were keeping track, 144 yards of penalties tonight.
I knew it was right around there. We will not see this in the regular season.
Personal foul, defense, number 33, lowering the head and initiating contact. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Kevin Tolliver.
Let's take a look. Comes up. There he is from the outside. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a definition of what they're trying to get out of the game, is these guys coming in, especially when you got one guy wrapped up and then the other guy comes in and lowers the head and hits a guy right in the face mask. And that's dangerous for Tolliver as well.
Yes, but that's the great point. The player they're protecting there is more often than not the defensive player, the player doing the striking with his helmet. It's Isaiah McKenzie. Ball comes out. It's picked up by the Bears. We'll see if they say McKenzie was down or not, but it's Isaiah Irving who recovers for Chicago with 58 seconds left in the game.
It looked like it was Crevon LeBlanc who punched that ball out, and that's the last thing you want to see from Isaiah McKenzie. Take a look. He's trying to make a play, trying to get extra yardage, and watch 22 come in here with the right hand and just punch that football out.
Clearly out.
And you know, the ball security issues continue for Isaiah McKenzie. No, it's not on a punt return or kick return, but ball insecurity and on the ground is the same no matter what.
In clutch time, in the final minute, driving for what you hoped would be a game-winning field goal. And now the Bears will take over at midfield. Chase Daniel will take a knee. See if the Broncos even spend a timeout or not. They do. Here's tonight's play of the game. It's brought to you by Comcast Xfinity. A couple of young stars for the Broncos involved.
Yeah, certainly both first-year players. And Tim Patrick, we talked a lot about him in camp. His physical nature, 6'5", 210 pounds. And he's been doing this a bunch in practice. It's good to see it carry over to the game, but nice to see two young guys with potentially some bright futures hook up.
Bears will take another knee. Would expect the Broncos would spend that last time out. There it is.
And Isaiah McKenzie's on the sideline, and a lot of his teammates coming up and talking with him. Derek Wolfe, Dematopeko. There's a lot of them that they know how hard that kid works and what he's been through. And just last week, he was the star of the game.
Yeah, 78-yard punt return, electrifying the stadium for the score. A couple more snaps should do it. Broncos are out of timeouts. So I asked you earlier how important it would be to win the game for the Broncos. You said it's always nice to win. So the flip side of that, of course, is, you know, is this any kind of concern? Does this take away from any of the good things Denver did tonight?
Not with the ones, no. No, and that's your main concern. You want to win every game. You know, you're not going to ever say that this doesn't matter. But you know, the second unit and third units offensively played really well last week, and tonight, you know, the injuries I think on the defensive side, especially in the secondary, really started to show their heads. That's not going to make Vance Joseph panic at all. They've got a lot of young players that really have just learned the system in the secondary, and they got carved up by Chase Daniel, who's a 10-year vet. What did you expect?
That makes next week's game at Washington rather interesting as well, with Alex Smith on the field, probably for a full half. Eight seconds to play. Chicago takes their timeout. Why not? You can't take the timeouts with you, Grease. Might as well spend them here. I got no place to be except your couch again. Hey, thanks for the egg breakfast this morning. That was, wow, you put out a spread this morning.
I can't believe that you don't know how to cook eggs. I mean,
I have failed in the domestic aspect.
Eggs. barely could make the toast.
River Crate grab. Like some French toast tomorrow, if you don't mind. And that will do it. Flags fly, but zeros on the clock. And this game will come to an end. The Bears pick up their first win of the preseason in their third such game. And the Broncos fall to 0-2, heading for Washington, D.C. next Friday night.
Block in the back, return team by rule. Game is over.
Somewhat fittingly, this game should end on a penalty. Despite the loss, I imagine that Vance Joseph will be in a much better mood post-game and during this week to come. Things went a whole lot better for the Broncos this week than they did 1 week ago.
Chad Kelly had another solid night tonight and made the reads he needed to make, protected the football, and then I thought Bradley Chubb played really well as well.
Rod Mackey, it's all yours.
Guys, thank you very much. Coach, a tough finish, but you had to be impressed with the way your starters look. Much better this week than last week, starting with the offense.
Absolutely. You know, we made progress tonight, so that's what we wanted. You know, we didn't want to count snaps tonight. We wanted to count progress, so we made some progress tonight.
And on defense, the same thing. They kind of got things going early, but then you guys got in a groove and shut them down.
Yeah, outside of a 3rd and 15 penalty, you know, we played pretty good on defense, and that led to a score. So I was impressed with both sides of the ball, for the most part.
Coach, last thing for you. Chad Kelly continues to impress at quarterback.
He played well again. Good for Chad.
Very good. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Coach. Okay, take care. Guys, we'll send it back up to you.
Rod, thank you. So, Grease, the Broncos, a work in progress, definitely a step in the right direction here tonight.
I thought a couple things popped out to me. Philip Lindsay was outstanding. It was really fun to watch him in all kinds of different areas, try to contribute and make this football team. And then the first team offense, which was really who we needed to see get some progress. They got on the same page, but still some room for improvement with Case Keenum and his timing with his receivers.
See you in Washington, D.C.
All right, pal.
If not before. For my partner, Brian Greasy and Rod Mackey and our entire 9 News crew, I'm Steve Levy. Thanks for watching tonight from Broncos Stadium at Mile High, where the Bears come to town and beat the Broncos 24-23. Make sure you join us right here on Channel 20 this Friday night, the 24th of August, when the Broncos head to our nation's capital to take on Washington. Pre-game coverage